Welcome to Parade Talk. We talk all things parades.
Is that like coffee talk?
It's like
parades?
coffee talk. What kind of coffee do you... By the way, did you hear that there is bad weather all day Saturday in D.C. is what they're saying, and that maybe it might be delayed or pushed or canceled?
The big military parade.
Yeah, that's according to Military Times, not Chad Benson. And the Lord, by the way.
The Lord.
That plane crash. So I was up early, and I got the breaking news from one of the British, groups I follow. And it is so weird in today's world, dude, because you can see everything. There is a camera everywhere.
Everywhere.
And you have to be careful.
Including in your pocket.
Including in your pocket. And that's
Yes.
the thing. That's what makes it everywhere. And so I'm watching it, because you hear about it, and you're like, all right, so what happened? And I'm like, is this, first of all, you have to go, is this real? Right? That's the first thing. Is this a real, video? And then when you watch it, you're like, oh my God. And then the pictures are on the ground too, like, which normally you wouldn't get.
Right.
Because I grew up in the Southern California area that I grew up the street from us, we had the Aeromexico disaster. It was probably about 4 or 5 miles from my house. And that's when a small plane hit an Aeromexico plane. It was like a DC-10, and it landed in everybody died. It was like 100 and some people died and killed a bunch of people on the ground. But you never saw anything. Do you know what I mean? Here, people are filming around the crash site, which was, again, fascinating. But when you watch it, nothing worked. You could totally tell. The nose was never up. It was gliding. And when you take off on an airplane, the wheels go up in a second. Like the minute they're off, those things were still up. And I'm like, ugh. And of course, this is Boeing.
Yeah, this thing had a spotless record.
Yeah.
Up until today.
Up until today. And now it doesn't.
Yeah, I heard somebody this morning, one of an aviation expert for NBC News, said they would be looking at whether or not all of the flaps were working properly.
Yeah.
Because if they weren't, then that means that thing wasn't getting. It wasn't
the
getting
electronics
any air.
on it were dead. Like you could do a lot, but if you can't communicate with the flaps and anything, you're done.
Yeah.
And because it glided, it only got up to 625 feet, and one person walked away, which he was in row 11A, a British guy.
Yep.
And that's it. 242 people on board. He's the only one to walk away. I don't know how many people on the ground, because I think that place they ran into was like a youth hostel or like a dormitory for like a medical or nursing school. So it's again, in today's world, it is so fascinating and so also horrible, because you can see anything in the world now, from war in a way that you've never seen it before to something like this.
Everything. I mean, I look back at the Tiananmen Square crackdown.
Yeah.
That was something that for me, I was at an age where I actually started paying attention to what was going on in the world. That was actually the first time I can remember seeing something in real time happening like that. Other than the first plane crash in the Potomac whenever they were rescuing all those people from the icy waters.
Oh, and the guy jumped in?
Yeah.
That guy, that was always amazing. I remember that. But you didn't see the plane.
No.
That's just it.
You didn't see the plane going down. You saw the aftermath.
You saw the aftermath, but you didn't see like today it's, and I think the most famous one that you've seen, I mean, outside of 9/11 and a few others, is the one, I think it was in Iowa back in the 80s, where there happened to be a film crew there, and it landed, do you remember? But then it flipped because it had nothing. There was nothing. Yeah. But this was it was surreal to watch. It was just so surreal to watch this thing. And, of course, the speculation within seconds is that, this had to be Pakistan or this. And, Boeing's probably like, we hope so, because Boeing isn't. I mean, this is.
They didn't need this.
They didn't. They needed none of this. And the pilot, by the way, because I saw that, he had 8,200 hours in the cockpit.
Right.
So that
points to a mechanical.
Yeah, because he called for Mayday, and then the minute he said Mayday, everything was gone. So it feels like it was electronic. Yeah. It's like electrical. Something in the electrical just died, and then there was no way to get control. Because as long as you have control, like today, if you got the wings and you can control some of that stuff, you can usually get it down. So, but horror and just like, and then looking at like parts of it sticking out of the building and people are filming and you're just like, oh, good God, just what a disaster. Speaking of disaster, here we're going to war with Iran, so that should be fun.
Yeah, it looks like something's going on. I remember yesterday I was following along these reports of the Pentagon, I guess, signing off on, at first it was voluntary military dependence departure from certain hot spots in the Middle East. And I'm thinking, well, why would the Pentagon have to sign off on that? Can't military dependents leave if they want? And then as the day went on, then you start hearing about how it's in direct, it's related to these threats by Iran on U.S. military bases over an impasse in nuclear negotiations.
Yeah, because they are, well, the people that they have like a contract signed that we're not going to do these stuff. They have said that they sanctioned them for the first time in 20 years. They said they're going to drop out of the agreement. And so they are closer than they've ever been. And how much they have, again, how much they can do with it, because just because you have the material doesn't mean you have a way to deliver it. But even when Obama signed that thing back in the day, Chuck Schumer was the loudest of the bunch, saying there's no way that we could tell a group like Iran, you have 30 days leeway that we have to inform you essentially in writing that we're going to come inspect your stuff. That's not,
That's not a snap inspection.
No. And that's what this thing needs, the trust but verify.
Right.
And so I'm interested to see what does Bibi do, because I feel like there is a lot going on. And not only are we worried, I saw that the Brits have informed all of their ships, both their military and their cargo ships in the region, to be prepared for something and to essentially kind of get ready. So I have a feeling they believe something may be coming sooner rather than later. Which is, I don't want to go to war with anyway. I know somebody called us somebody called Chris a wussy. No, we don't need to be anywhere near a war. First of all, the Middle East is just a hornet's nest of nothing ever good comes out of there in these conflicts. And we're not going to regime change. Remember, we're really good at getting into stuff. We are awful at getting out of it. And what's the end game if we go to war with them? Oh, is to blow them to smithereens and do a regime change? Do you think that's going to work? Probably not. So to let Israel blow them up, and if they get a nuclear weapon, which I'm assuming at some point in time, the way they're going to have enough to make a nuclear weapon and find a way to deliver it. Then you've got, do you arm other countries who they would love to blow up? Because the nuclear weapon is the great invite to all of the big boy stuff and the big girl stuff.
That is an instant seat at the table.
Yeah. I mean, North Korea, they got nothing outside of the kook. And what do? They get to come to all the stuff because they've got a weapon. They're not getting invaded. They get to come to all of the stuff. Could you imagine if Iran got to come? Because there's only so much you're going to be able to sanction them at this point. Who's buying oil from them outside of Russia and a few others that we don't deal with?
Yeah, I think it's just Russia and China.
Yeah, so, we're not. There's only so much you can do. But I don't want to go to war with anybody. But I'm curious about what Bibi does, because this is kind of in Bibi's, this could be his jam. Could you imagine if he did that? Without Trump. That's the thing. Without Trump. Because, Trump's like, look, we're getting ready to have a meeting where this is our 6th attempt to try to get something done. The stuff that's out there, by the way, looks exactly like the stuff Obama had. But it doesn't matter if Bibi jumps and does this. Then that means that they're going to, because they've already, the funny thing is, Israel, everybody's feeling like Israel's going to do something. And what did Iran come out and do? They say, oh, yeah, well, if they do that, we're going to attack you. I'm like, this just feels like we're going to get dragged into something, which we don't want. Not before the big parade.
We might need some of that hardware in the big parade.
Yeah, well, this would be the time.
By the way, China's the largest buyer of Iranian oil.
Yeah.
But India buys Iran's oil, too.
They need to start buying it from us. We got plenty of it. Although, what are the prices today?
I don't know.
That's the other thing. I know that oil production went down last month, and partly because, pulling oil, there's a level you have to get to make it worth your while. And if it falls below that for so many days, and for a while, they just shut them down because, if you're pulling out 1,000 barrels a day, let's just say, and you're losing $5 a barrel, well, that's not a smart play. I could say, well, India needs all it can handle because they're having babies, and they've got a nuclear weapon, and they had a plane crash. It's been quite a day for India. Oh, I see they're doing the sanctuary city stuff today in Congress. They're doing those hearings.
Oh, yeah. They got the governors of the blue states.
Yeah, Tim Walz.
Tim Walz.
Speaking of masculine.
Coach Walz, as they called him.
That's right. That guy knows more football than anybody ever.
And that's on top of his WWE experience.
And on top of the fact that he's a crack shot, remember? And he knows how to speak MAGA, and he fixes cars.
A crack shot.
That guy can't stop. He's got so much.
The tag was still on his coat.
he's That guy is so... Oh, he's such a clown. He's such a clown. I am... we got so much stuff to get today, including yesterday. We talked about Brian Wilson. I did a deep dive last night about this, and it was interesting because I remember which we didn't talk about yesterday because, it was all kind of fresh and new, but the interesting thing about how he got out of his funk and back out into the real world, and it was almost, it was like a cult that kind of did. One dude who essentially hijacked his life. It's such a bizarre story. It really is. And we'll talk a little bit about that because I think it's a good thing to talk about because he talks about the drugs, the alcohol, all of the stuff and what he went through. But then at the weird, dealing with anxiety and depression, how he got out of it and how bizarre it was. And I remember as a kid going, oh, wow, that guy's a weird dude. Really? This is what got this guy out of it? And we're going to talk a bit about, we didn't get to the axolotl stuff. It's so fascinating as I studied all these things about the axolotl, because I've had them before, like what they can regenerate. It was way more than I even thought. And it is fascinating. And you know what my new jam is on TikTok? You will appreciate this, Ken.
All right.
Nate the Hoof Guy.
Nate the Hoof Guy.
I know exactly who you're talking about.
Is it not satisfyingly weird?
It is crazy. There's actually another guy called the Hoof GP out of Ireland that I watch more.
Yeah.
But it's another one of those things. Like, remember when we were talking about, I was telling you, I was just watching a guy mow grass. I'm just watching a guy trim cow's feet.
That's what he does. He goes cow feet. He does some other, he'll do a lot of stuff too, like donkeys. Last night, we're watching it. He pulled something out of a horse's foot, out of the top of it. And the horse was in so much pain, it kicked everywhere, but the horse was crying. It was just tears were gushing down the eyes.
Oh, no.
And then he patched the horse up, and how much better the horse, he goes in and he just watching him cut the hoofs, and they go from nasty to clean, and it's ASMR.
I'm looking at it right now, dude, and I'm hooked.
I'm telling you guys, Nate the Hoof Guy. He's got 2.5 million followers.
Yeah, and you guys were talking about the guy who goes around and cleans people's yards up.
Yeah, that guy.
I'm hooked on him too.
Oh, that guy's great. He is. Hey, can I just do your yard for free? And the yards are always like, the city's threatening to take their house away, and the guy turns it into this amazing garden. Right? It's incredible. So much fun stuff to talk about. Reach out to us. Plus, I thought of something today because I got yelled at last night. I'm going to tell you guys, I got told to get out of the country because of my disdain for parades. We're going to talk about that. And yes, we'll talk a little immigration because there's some real questions about who's funding this stuff and what we should be looking at. But the media doesn't want to talk about that. We'll talk a bit about that as well. It's Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7. Raycon, best earbuds around. Still time for you to win Father's Day with Raycon, best earbuds around. 15% off site-wide. Why the everyday earbuds are my favorite? Well, there's so many reasons. Number one, the sound quality is second to none. Number two, the fit. So you've got them in your ears. They feel incredible. They look awesome. There's no stems. There's no wires. And I can wear them all day. The comfort is incredible. You don't even feel like they're there. Then let's get on to 8 hours of talk time, 32 hours of battery life, multi-connectivity. We can go on and on. But this right here, fast charging. Every 10 minutes gives me 90 minutes of listening, which is awesome. Save 15% and get a 30-day happiness guarantee on anything on their site. You go to buyraycon.com/Chad. That's buyraycon.com/Chad. Check out the best earbuds around, the everyday earbuds, but check out everything on Raycon's site. Buyraycon.com/Chad.
All right, drivers, Berry Hill, looks like we have a crash partially blocking the off-ramp right shoulder, 65 northbound to Armory Drive. An incredible bit of news we've been talking about coming out of the plane crash in India. And Nashville Mayor Freddie O'Connell's deadline today. That's all coming up at 12:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Right said Fred, when he has till 5 tonight. Get that stuff in, Freddie, or else. Now, if you're him, do you play the game when you don't do that so you can be a martyr? Or did Gavin take it all from you?
Well, and here's the thing. I mean, is he under subpoena?
I think they've ordered him. I think he has to actually have it done.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know like everything in life. What's the or else?
Yeah, I mean, yesterday a judge ordered that Mahmoud Khalil be released. Remember the Columbia organizer? And? I don't think he's out.
No, I don't think he's out either. But it's the or else is the thing. Like, don't do that or what? Don't do it or what? And if you have nothing, and that's why the UN is so weak. And before the UN, there was the League of Nations. And that's when they knew that they were useless, when basically Japan said that they were going to go be feudal and nobody could stop them. And they walked out and everybody realized there was no or else in that conversation. And it's the same thing here. If there is no or else for Freddie, that you're going to send a strongly worded letter, why would you? Although he'll probably do it and say, I complied. I did, and there's nothing to see here. And they'll come back and say, you didn't give us everything, and we'll go from there. Did you see what RFK? They released RFK stuff today.
Yeah, about 1,000 pages.
Yeah, 54, and doesn't seem to...
senior?
Yeah, senior.
Okay.
Yeah. No, junior's too busy taking out vaccine doctors. I can't believe you said that, Chad. There wasn't anything in it. really, yeah, I mean, there was 54 pages of stuff that was redacted that kind of show, I mean, there's no conspiracy, which is...
Well, you only say that because you're part of the conspiracy.
That's right. Everybody's dead now, right? That's part of the conspiracy. So, it's how do you keep a secret, right? If 3 guys know the secret, you kill 2. And so, are they all gone? But at least in this tranche, as they like to call it, there doesn't seem to be anything in there that says there's some ominous warnings, but there's nothing that shows that a bunch of different groups got together to take him out. Because it only takes one loony. I mean, we saw that this weekend in Colombia, right? It only takes one dude, one loony, one wackadoo to do something. And, I would find it hard to believe in today's world, though. You can get away with a lot of stuff unless you absolutely have never had any kind of digital footprint. Don't go anywhere and hide your face 24/7. Right?
Yes, Brother Bell.
Headless Bell. That's right, Brother Bell.
Nobody knows what Brother Bell looks like.
Nope. Nobody has any idea. 7'2", wingspan of 9 feet.
And wings.
And that's right. And wings. He doesn't even know. That's crazy. Oh, my Lord. So if you survive that plane crash, you think you buy a lottery ticket?
Oh, man. I mean, it's going to be
interesting. If you survive the
to
plane crash, do you get on another plane?
No.
I mean, that thing burst into a giant ball of fire.
Yeah.
What did you say
he was? I think he was in 11A.
Now, did he literally walk away?
He walked away. They show him walking away.
Incredible.
Yeah. They show him, he's got some cuts, but they show him, like, people have him, and he's just walking. And, like, do you even, what goes through your mind at that point?
I mean, it's insane. In shock. You got to be just like a zombie. You're just in shock.
Yeah. Oh, it has to be. I mean, you have to, it's just everybody, and I'm sure the survivor's guilt is there, but yeah, they show him, and there's pictures of him, and he's a Brit. That's what they know about him.
Ramesh Vishwaskumar.
That guy. And there he is, just walking away. His shirt is it's dirty and it's got some blood. He's got a couple bumps and bruises, but nothing. They said they heard a loud noise 30 seconds into the flight. That's what he said. And it's interesting because now you can ask him in a way that even with the black boxes, which are orange, what you hear, what happened? I mean, was it like everything seemed fine? But he said there was 30 seconds into the flight, there was a loud bang or pop. He was in 11A. And I think that's one of those seats where you're at the emergency door.
That's where they say to be.
That's it. Well, when there's an emergency.
What side are you on, man? Where are you reading this from?
I am on, I was on Drudge, and it took me to NDTV.
Okay.
And which is it's an India one. Oh, and there's a couple with their kids, and they all just took a selfie while they were sitting on the plane.
Oh, man.
That is just, again.
Blink of an eye, boys.
Yeah, blink of an eye.
Blink of an eye.
Yeah. Oh, by the grace of God. Oh, by the grace of God. Coming up, we got some testimony. All right, the Sanctuary City folk are there. Tim Walls, you got to hear him. Woo! He's, by the way, when I hear him, I think, that's a dude right there.
Yeah.
It's a man. That guy sounds like he sounds like he eats meat.
That's Coach Walls. That's Coach Walls.
That's Coach Walls to you and I. Yes, sir. No, sir, Coach. That's how you direct it to me. And then you call me governor. It's the Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
12:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast coming up in 5 minutes. Local hospital officials in Ahmedabad, India, confirm one person on board the Air India plane that crashed has survived. The Boeing 787 Dreamliner with 242 passengers and crew on board was heading to London's Gatwick Airport when it crashed shortly after takeoff. Here's Maggie Ruley.
More and more eyewitnesses are coming forward describing this scene as just chaos of thick smoke in the air, essentially what's a fireball rising into the sky. Because we have to remember, this flight was taking off for London, a 9-hour journey. So it was full of fuel. Now all that fuel was really fueling this fireball on the scene. Rescue workers have been brought in immediately. Local police saying all rescue workers were given to this effort.
Meanwhile, here in America, we see reports of a JetBlue flight getting off the runway at Boston Logan, passengers being evacuated. And in our nation's capital,
we officially rescue the U.S. auto industry from destruction by terminating the California electric vehicle mandate once and for all.
Now, that's President Trump signing the congressional resolutions that block plans from California to end the sale of gasoline-only cars by 2035. Here in Middle Tennessee today, Mayor Freddie O'Connell has a deadline to hand over some documents which the U.S. House Judiciary and Homeland Security Committees are demanding as part of the investigation into the mayor's executive order. That executive order requires city personnel to report any interactions with immigration officials directly to him within 24 hours. Also, as you just heard Brother Chad mention, governors from some blue states, New York, Minnesota, and Illinois, answering questions from the Republican-led House Oversight Committee hearing on their states being so-called sanctuary states. Here's Jay O'Brien.
Well, Republicans on this panel push these Democratic governors, saying that they are breaking the law by not cooperating with federal immigration enforcement. We've seen Democrats on this panel do the same thing and say the administration is breaking the law with this troop deployment.
Now, that's a typical congressional hearing. And that's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Let me talk to you about USS, United Structural Systems. When in need, indeed, it's about USS. 30 years in business, 30,000 happy customers, 5-star reviews across the board. And we're talking about them coming in the time of need, but also before it gets to that time when it's bad. You got cracks, you got stuff under your foundation, you might have mold. Oh, you don't want wood rot. You want none of that stuff. USS is there to stop it before it starts and gets ugly, where you may need to have a full foundation. You may need basement wall stabilization, all that stuff. This is what USS is about. They're going to come out. They're going to give you a free inspection, right? They guarantee their best, and they're not going to sell you anything you don't need. Okay? So if your yard has slopes, does water have, route to flow away from your home, right? Yeah, maybe. You need to know all of these little things because you think these little cracks, next thing you know, these little cracks become something that you don't see underneath. And that's what you should be worried about. Call them today. Get a free inspection, 615-488-7855, 615-488-7855, or online at ussTN.com. June 17th, Kings Bowl, Cool Springs. We're all going to be there. Mid-year review. Murphy's going to be live. It's free for you guys to come. Come on out and see us. Ken, are you going?
I'm going to try to go out there and do my news.
Yeah, you should. You should. It's going to be a lot of fun. There's going to be myself, Matt Murphy, Chris, of course. Hopefully Ken. Probably not Bell. Bell, no.
No, probably not. Is that just before Matt's surgery?
I think it is. It might be your last time to see him. Maybe.
Ever.
You don't know. I mean, look, we've just been talking a lot of stuff today. I'm just saying. And on top of all of that, Dan's going to be there. And it's
official WTN hugging booth.
It's the hugging booth. It's all for charity. So it's pretty awesome.
I got to give Brother Dan a hug this morning.
Did you?
Yeah, he was here.
Fucking
grabbed him up, boy.
Oh, that's good. He loves those. He's like, man, I hope people invade my personal space. So Kings Bowl, come on out there. It's going to be a lot of fun. That place is great. And maybe we'll play a little pool. Guys, I'm just going to read you a little something that came across before we get into some serious news. A trailer just dropped for a movie. And
okay.
38 years ago, there was only one Star Wars trilogy. But since then, there have been a prequel trilogy, a sequel trilogy, a sequel to the prequel, a prequel to the sequel, countless TV spin-off, a movie spin-off of the TV spin-off, which is both a prequel and a sequel, not to mention 2 Dunes, 7 Jurassic Parks, 2 Avatars, plus 3 upcoming Avatars, making it 5, 36 MCU movies with 2 different Robert Downey Jr.'s, DCU attempt number 1, DCU attempt number 2, an animated Lion King, a live-action Lion King, a live-action animated Lion King prequel, 8 Harry Potter movies. Yeah, this is Spaceballs 2027.
Wait, this is the sequel?
Mm-hmm.
How much of the original cast is in it?
I think outside of John Candy, I think of all of them are coming back.
Oh, this could be good. It could.
I know.
Rick Moranis, man. He
Dark helmets.
They keeps going on. 1 Prometheus, which is kind of an alien movie. 7 alien movies, 2 of which were Predator movies, not to mention Mistaken for 6 Predator movies that are also not alien movies. 4 Beatles movies. And Oppenheimer. But 30 years ago, there's only been one. Spaceballs. Oh. You know, I was just talking to somebody's been texting us saying, because I said, would you buy a lottery ticket if you or that guy survived the plane crash? And the guy goes, Steve says, nope, I'm taking a boat. He goes, but no, the boat would sink. And I go, then the sharks would show up.
The boat would sink, the sharks would show up, and he'd win the lottery after he got eaten.
That's right. Oh, God, that is just, isn't it ironic? Yeah, don't you think? Oh, my Lord. Speaking of chaos and craziness, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, could we have an issue with Iran?
This is a clear indication that the United States believes that an Israeli attack on Iran's nuclear facilities is likely to happen soon. The State Department has ordered the withdrawal of all non-essential U.S. diplomats out of Iraq, while the Pentagon has authorized the departure of military family members from the Middle East as the region braces for the possibility of another war.
They're supposed to have meeting number 6 this weekend. I don't know if that's going to happen, but Steve Witkoff last week, speaking to Republicans, said, and I quote, there may be a mass casualty event should Israel strike.
Boy.
Based on Iran. Mass casualty. They said, as far as this goes, there's nothing off the table. There's no agreement that's been reached. And they talked about the ballistic missiles that they have, their capabilities. They're concerned that Israel's air defenses would not be able to handle Iran's response because they would shoot so many missiles that they just wouldn't be able to handle it. And, 2,000 ballistic missiles with warheads that can carry 2,000 pounds of explosive. You do the math. They also claim to have one that has 4,000 pounds of explosive on it. So at that point, it becomes, you go and kill 50 or 100,000. So they take out your nuclear program. You kill 50,000 of their people in Israel. What is Israel's response? Because my feeling at that point in time is some sort of nuke event, which would be very bad. And they've already threatened us. They said, we could reach every one of your bases throughout the Middle East. We do not want a war with Iran. Not that we wouldn't win. The problem is, here's the thing with war that we get in. What is winning? Because I see winning is how much money can people make, not how many soldiers, or did we have a regime change, or did we give them, the opportunity to have, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness and all that. They don't care about that. That's not their jam. We gave all that stuff to Afghanistan. They didn't want it. So let's stop trying to nation build, because it ain't going to work.
Yeah, the Afghan army just folded. Yeah. Immediately.
They did.
Threw everything down and ran the other way.
Well, you remember seeing all of the videos of them, like, trying to teach them even how to do jumping jacks? You're like, this is going to be this. It was F-Troop.
Yeah.
This was never going to go well. And they weren't interested. They took those jobs because it was money. They didn't take those jobs because they wanted to fight their countrymen. They didn't. And so, if there was a mass casualty event, because I think you would have to think about doing something if you kill, depending on how many you killed, right? Because Israel, as we know, we see what happens. You kill 1,000, they're killing, I don't know how many people have died in Palestine and Gaza. Imagine if they killed 20,000. What does that look like in Iran? It looks like Tehran's on fire. It's turned into glass.
Israel is not messing around.
No, they do not mess.
They are, they're a different animal right now.
Yeah, they are. And he is also under a lot of pressure. Bibi Netanyahu, pre-October 7th, there were tons of protests. He is already under, was he under indictment, I think, a couple different ways? He's under indictment, investigation.
There were a few.
There is all kinds of things with him, and that's why a lot of people think that he's continuing to push to keep this thing going, because anything that takes their eyes off of what's going on over there puts it back on him, and I don't think he wants any part of that. So we move from there to this exciting adventure, ladies and gentlemen.
Bibi was indicted in 2019 on breach of trust, accepting bribes, and fraud.
Yeah, and he is...
who does he think he is, a congressman?
I know. Good God, what is he, Bob Menendez? And on top of that, right, if I'm correct, too, he tried to dismantle their entire Supreme Court system, which sent everybody out into the streets. I mean, he had some serious issues. And in a weird way, October 7th saved his hiney, if you will. I said hiney this time rather than ass, because then somebody's like, oh, my God, you say something bad. Byron Donalds and Tim the Macho Man Wolves.
You said earlier that the ICE agents under the orders of President Trump are a modern-day Gestapo. Do you realize how disgusting a phrase that is, considering the history of Nazi Germany? Would you like to recant that statement?
What I said, Congressman, and I have a long history of supporting law enforcement, I said President Trump was using them as his modern-day Gestapo, not identifying who you are, coming up in unmarked vans, taking people away and giving...
Is it the responsibility of ICE to actually deport illegal aliens in the United States who are here? Isn't that their responsibility?
Yes, it is, Congressman, except that the Constitution is not an inconvenience. It's not an either-or.
No.
Wait. So, yes, it is, or it isn't? What do you mean it's not an inconvenience? Okay, we get it's not an inconvenience, but how are you trying to phrase this here, Tim Wells? By the way, are you doing crunches right now, Tim? Hey, you need to pay attention, man. Put the dumbbell down, all right? Stop showing off. Oh, he's planking right now, guys. I can't stop him. He's barbecuing and planking.
That's Coach Walls.
Oh, he just shotgunned a beer. Man, this guy's so man-like.
It's not an either-or.
Nobody said an inconvenience. He have a responsibility to deport illegal aliens, and the president is going through that process right now. And let's be very clear, the previous administration, they abused every process there is under border laws to allow more than 10 million people into the country illegally. And this is a burden on all Americans. And so the president is doing his job. So it is sick to refer to Americans who are ICE agents as Gestapo. Governor, you're wrong. You need to apologize to these agents. They're doing their jobs. They are Americans. They serve this country with honor and decency and respect. Do not diminish their work simply because you tried to make a cheap point that you could tweet. I yield back.
He yields back. I love Byron Donalds. I think that guy, he got a future.
He'll get you.
I do. I think he should run for governor of Florida. Like, take it serious, because I know he's flirted with it. But it's hard to deal with Tim. Man, you know what? You got to have some cojones to stand there and go toe to toe with Tim Walz. You do. I mean, he's tough. I mean, that guy, you're looking over at him.
That's Coach Walz.
He tore his shirt off, and he's like, look at these. He's flexing his pecs. You're like, oh, God. He just crushed a melon with his pecs. Like, that's what I'm talking about there. It was just.
He could probably lift 50 pounds over his head.
In a row, several times.
Has he taken more steroids than the Liver King?
No, nobody has. That guy. He looks like the Liver King. That's what I thought it was when he first walked up. He's like, how you guys doing? I'm Tim Walz. And it's funny because he's in Minnesota, and you think Minnesota governors that are manly, like Jesse Ventura, right?
Jesse Ventura.
Not even close. Like Tim Walz would absolutely crush. Like the testosterone. I look over and I see Jesse Ventura at his height. I'm like, that guy's nothing but estrogen compared to Tim Walz. It's like it goes bull shark, right? Rhino and bull shark. And then it goes Tim Walz. Oh. I still find it fascinating that was their thought for a man. Oh, my Lord.
Well, at the time, they couldn't go with Josh Shapiro. No. Because the far left of the party, man, they weren't having anything to do with anybody Jewish.
No, I know. And remember, Trump's he's a Nazi.
Yeah.
Like, they were having zero to do with anybody that was Jewish. And the other thing is, Shapiro walked in, spent 3 minutes with her and goes, she's an idiot. I am not going to tether myself to this anchor.
He would have overshadowed her.
Oh, God, yes.
He would have absolutely.
A bowl of soup would have.
Yeah.
Who won? Bowl of soup. Beat her by a bunch. It was crazy. Tim Walz doing, settle down, Tim. You didn't even vote, Tim. You're lifting so much weights. Oh, my Lord. He is spectacular. He's not even wearing a shirt, which is crazy. I'm like, God, you should really, they get on
shirtless.
They get on Fetterman for the way he dresses. You showed up. It's like Chippendales in here. Coming up, a lot of stuff. I got some more crazy audio because why not, right? And next hour, we're going to hit hard the insanity of what's going on the ground and why I've been saying when we talk about this is nothing to do with the people that ICE is looking for, chasing into that stuff. This is all to do with the people that are throwing the fit, and both sides are missing this when they should be paying attention. And it's not even hard to find if you do a little bit of work. And I love how it's like, well, there's ads. It's so much deeper than just that for these protesters. We'll talk about that, bunch of other stuff. Chad Bench Show, Super Talk, 99.7. Birch Gold. Why gold? Well, because the chaos, the craziness, the lunacy, gold is important to have. It's great to know that there's something there, whether it's the physical or maybe you've got an IRA or 401k because you moved your IRA or 401k or even your savings into a gold-backed IRA with my friends over at Birch Gold. Text the word Benson now to 989898 today. They're going to show you why it's important to have diversification, especially when it comes to all things. When it comes to your investments, diversity is key. BRICS is meeting next month, so what does that mean? Well, let's just say they decide to do all they can to crush the dollar, and there is a chance that stuff like this could happen as everybody wants to get off of it in these wacky world. Next thing you know, there's real pressure. Well, when that happens, where does gold go? Away. Protect yourself in these times of uncertainty, whether you want to have it physically at your house maybe, or maybe you just want to have it in an IRA. My buddies over at Birch can help you. Text the word Benson now to 989898 to get a free info kit from my friends at Birch Gold. That's the word Benson. You text to 989898 today. Yeah, you should put that on the thing next time. That's the way that works. You're fired. Now get back to work. Wellness Institute of Nashville. My friends, Dr. Mitchell, Dr. Ashley. I want you to get over there today because they're going to help you. Get your back back. Get your back off the wall. Dance. Come on. Let me tell you something right now about this. $34 right now. Big deal going on, part of the 47. That's right. Savings this year. And let me tell you something else. You know, they went after the president 34 times. You've probably gone out there, tried to fix your backs 34 times. It's not worked. The Wellness Institute in Nashville is going to help you with that. What do you get for that? $34, your first consultation, x-rays if needed, and your first treatment. Your back, it's the last thing you want to do thinking about surgery. This is about non-surgical spinal decompression. This is about getting your back back, building you a plan to get you healthy, happy, and moving again. Call them today. Tell them I sent you. 615-246-5009. 615-246-5009. Or check them out online at painisbad.com.
At least one survivor in the India plane crash, and he's up and talking. Deadly helicopter incident at Fort Campbell. Deadline day for Nashville Mayor Freddie O'Connell, and people who sleep with their pets in the bed. Coming up at 1 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
Your thoughts on the parade that's going to take place? Some Democrats are saying it's a waste of money.
Yeah, never been a big fan of goose-stepping soldiers in big tanks and missiles rolling down the street. So, if you ask me, I wouldn't have done it. I'm not sure what the actual expense of it is, but I'm not really. You know, we were always different than the images you saw of the Soviet Union and North Korea. We were proud not to be that, and I'm not proposing that that's the image people want to project. But I'm worried about the image, that it isn't necessarily the best image to show.
That was Rand Paul. Who, by the way, not Chad. Just want to point that out. I would say stuff like that, but that was not Chad. So if you want to hit me up and tell me how I need to get out of the country because I don't like parades, because apparently that's the standard for being in the country today. Well, guess what happened today? Not that this White House would ever be petty.
From my office, and it's kind of a great time of the year in the summer. My family comes up. My son and daughter-in-law and grandson are coming up because we were going to the White House picnic, but I've just been told that I've been uninvited from the picnic. I think I'm the first senator in the history of the United States to be uninvited to the White House picnic. The White House is owned by the taxpayers. We all are members of it. Every Democrat will be invited. Every Republican will be invited, but I will be the only one disallowed to come on the grounds of the White House. I just find this incredibly petty.
Yeah, I got to be honest with you. That's chump-like right there, guys. Come on. Really? Because you said well, first of all, were you going to, the picnic, yes. And what I'm hearing, and I did check, Belle and I were checking earlier on hotels.com and Expedia, tons of hotel rooms still available in D.C. So if you're looking for that last-minute thing to do this weekend and you want to go, now you got to check the weather because they're saying the weather may be so bad because of lightning that they may have to push it back or cancel. I don't know how real that's going to be because, again, weather, it's nature. We don't know. But you uninvited Rand.
And at some point he's going to be begging Rand for his vote on something.
Yeah.
So, why the conflict? It's unnecessary.
Because you said it was silly? Well, yeah, because we whine about money, and then we're spending up to $45 million, give or take, because even if they get some donations, we don't know what the roads and stuff are going to look like afterwards. Because that's the big fear, that some of these things are going to buckle because these things aren't used to this kind of weight, if you will. It's a buttload of weight, which, for those of you who don't know, did you know that buttload was an actual unit of measurement? I think it's 126 gallons is what it once was.
Back that thing up.
Back that thing up. He knows what it's talking about. Coming up next, Ken's going to sing you the news. It's more on the plane crash survivor. 242 people on the plane. One walked away. How many people on the ground have passed away? Horrible situation in India. A lot of other stuff to get to in the second hour. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
One o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. Local hospital officials in Ahmedabad, India confirm one person on board the Air India plane that crashed has survived. The Boeing 787 Dreamliner with 242 passengers and crew on board heading to London when it crashed shortly after takeoff. Here's ABC's Maggie Rulli.
We know it crashed almost directly into a housing unit for a local medical hospital. One eyewitness even said her son was home for lunch at that hostel. He had gone. It was just after 1 p.m. local time, and he had to jump out of the second-story window just to save his own life after the crash. You're hearing more and more of these stories as images are pouring in, people going through the rubble, looking for survivors. We are getting updates of potentially dozens of people, according to local media, that have been taken to the hospital, but no hard numbers yet of how many people have been injured.
We still don't know the identities of the soldiers involved in a deadly helicopter incident at the Fort Campbell training area last night. Happened around 7 o'clock. One soldier killed, another one taken to the Blanchfield Army Community Hospital in stable condition. The incident under investigation. Here in Nashville, Mayor Freddie O'Connell has a deadline to meet. Today's the day O'Connell has been ordered to hand over documents demanded by Congress as part of the U.S. House Judiciary and Homeland Security Committees investigating O'Connell's executive order. It requires city personnel to report any interactions with federal immigration officials directly to him within 24 hours. No word on if he'll comply. Meanwhile, Matt Gutman says protests against the growing ICE raids around the country continue.
Demonstrations growing from coast to coast. Smoke filling the streets in Spokane, Washington, as protesters and police clash. The mayor there placing parts of their city under curfew. And in Indianapolis, at least 1,000 demonstrators peacefully marching outside the NBA Finals game.
Yeah, Texas Governor Greg Abbott is sending 5,000 National Guardsmen and 2,000 Texas state troopers to maintain order at protests in his state. People who sleep with their pets might not be getting the good night's sleep doctors say they need. With more on whether you should banish Fido from the bed.
Who doesn't like a cuddly cat or a friendly dog on the bed with them at night? A lot of pet owners let their animals up with them, but doctors say doing that can negatively disrupt your sleep. Couple of reasons. Dogs and cats' sleep cycles aren't the same as ours. They're restless when we aren't. Then there's the pet dander and microbes brought into the house that can affect breathing. The more pets you have, the more your sleep can be interrupted. Most pet owners, however, know all this, but they don't really care. They say Fido stays. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
We have to make a apology because apparently Trump did invite him. It was a lowly staffer that uninvited him. Now Rand Paul has gone, God, now I got to go. Picnic? I can do a picnic. Parade? No.
Who wants to go to a picnic in a three-piece?
That's the thing, right? Because they always look uncomfortable. Even, you know what, though? They all look weird outside of, what's his name? Fetterman. They all look weird when they're not in some sort of suit.
Yeah, it's almost like a suit becomes their uniform.
Yes. Well, like last night was the congressional baseball game. And they all look goofy wearing, well, first of all, they all look goofy anyways, wearing, sports, any kind of sports stuff. They look goofy. They also look goofy wearing jeans because they feel they have to tuck every shirt in.
That's right.
Every shirt. Every single shirt they have to tuck. It doesn't matter what it is. Tuck it in. And I feel like a lot of these guys and gals, but mostly the guys, let's be real. Some of you probably have Tevas and you wear socks with them when it's comfort time. So the parade. So when is the big picnic? Again, why do you want to go to a picnic? I bet their picnic's a lot better, though, than a picnic that you would think of. Because you know what? I've been to several picnics. You know what I don't get? Catered.
Yeah, because this is obviously going to be very catered.
Yeah, very catered. How many people show up from the Democrats are invited? How many people show up? Well, there's free food. We should all go.
Yeah.
Boys, they're going to have charred burgers and dogs.
And it's also one of those situations where they have the opportunity, or there's at least a chance that they might have a few moments to corner Trump on one of their little pet issues.
Yeah, that's a possibility. I mean, that's why you go to these. You go to these things because this is where stuff gets done. When you have it, hey, look, you know what? I know you want this in there. I need my thing in there. How about this? I'll get you on the next one, I promise, no matter what it is. And that's how you start collecting, your little things in the game. That's
IOUs.
That's how, when you go look at Wilson's War, that's how he did it. He collected so many IOUs because he was in a district that was a blue district in Texas where he was so safe, and even the Republicans liked him. He could do anything he want because his vote really didn't count so much. So he collected all the IOUs, and that's how he went down to start to get everything for the Mujahideen to go and fight, which I thought was always fascinating. By the way, they're reporting now 290 people dead, which means some 50-some on the ground looks like were killed, and there's still a lot of people missing.
Within 6 months, there'll be a YouTube video explaining the physics of how that guy survived.
Oh, absolutely. Probably working on it now.
Probably.
I mean, there is always, it's like every once in a while you get this. You've had a couple plane crashes. I think you and I, Ken, were talking about the Concorde. I think a girl survived the Concorde. I know the little baby, somebody pointed out, survived one in way back in the day in Michigan. Just like there's a woman who fell out of an airplane and she fell 30,000 feet and she lived. It's like, there's physics to something.
And that's also been a common theme among skydiving accidents where chutes haven't deployed, people have fallen, and they might have broken a bone or something like that, but they didn't get killed, which you would expect.
You would absolutely expect that. I mean, you would. What is it? It's like people tense up, and that's when that's when you fall apart, like explode. Ugh, horrible.
Yeah, and on the way down, you're looking for a haystack.
You're looking for a haystack, and if you don't find one, it's very rarely do those things happen. We're also monitoring, obviously, what's going on in India. If you didn't see, it is horrible destruction. What seems to be, for the most part, this is the first hull, which is the full plane, that has been lost of the 787 Dreamliner by Boeing. Boeing is aware, they said, of this. But the plane looked like it lost all power as it took off, did not retract the landing gear. It never climbed above 625 feet before it hit a medical building. And one person walked away inside of the plane. And there's numerous deaths that are reported in the building. But as of now, it's 290 people. And I don't know if they're suspecting terrorism based on. They also suspected that maybe they hit some birds, which is scary to think that a bird.
But would a bird strike in an engine affect the entire electrical system?
That's what I think that would have to be
coincidence.
Virtually impossible. To think that it would affect the entire, like the engine I could see. But, you know, how many birds do you have to hit to take out the electrical system?
Maybe they got big birds in India.
Probably do. Probably do. So, God, just the massive amount of the pictures, the instantaneousness of how news travels. Like 30 years ago, you would have found this out at the 6 o'clock news. That's when you would have found this. Or if it was something more local or something, you might got a breaking news on, you know, during the soap opera or something during the day. But otherwise, it would have been the 6 o'clock news. And now you could watch it, unfortunately, go down, which was, it's a tough watch. And
you can watch it on Twitter within moments of it having happened.
Yeah, within moments. I mean, it was posted within 5 minutes. Because you probably, you know, those people, there's a lot of people, like my producer for my national show, he's a weirdo. I love him, but he goes to that island where the plane flies just over, right? Like that's the thing he likes to do, where that, you know, that island where the 747s will land in like Europe. And have you seen that?
Where the people stand outside the fence because the runway's so close to the beach.
Because he's so into that. He's also like, he's a train guy. Like he's a weirdo, goes watches trains go by. He's the kind of guy that would have been sitting out of the window watching the planes go by just because he's fascinated with air travel. So this plane was, I think, 12 years old. So that's not very old for a plane. That's actually quite young. That's in its infancy for a lot of things. And so Boeing, of course, is obviously, they're all headed there. And, you know, could there be terror? You can't rule anything out. It's early. Could somebody have sabotaged something? Again, you can't rule anything out. But there was the guy that survived is not just, because a lot of times you're like, somebody survived, but he's in a coma. It's never going to move it. He was walking away. He said 30 seconds in, they heard a loud, like, boom. And then there was a mayday call, and then there was nothing. So, awful situation. What's going on in California? And this, by the way, this is the name of my new band. You guys want to be in my band? We're called Anarchy for Hire. That's a good name right there.
That is a great name.
There you go.
Anarchy for Hire. And the reason I bring that up is because we've talked about this insanity of these people that are out there who are protesting. They're not protesting. They're there to break things. They're there to do horrible things because it is not about the issue. It's about them and the groups that are paying them.
These protests are fed by dark sources with a desire for our destruction. One of the main players in organizing and funding the Los Angeles protests is a group called CHIRLA, okay? C-H-I-R-L-A, acronym. Coalition for Humane Immigration Rights, Immigrants' Rights, whatever. Dig a little, and that starts to look like a misnomer. They have received millions in government grants and state grants, but now reports are showing that there may be a foreign link, specifically from China, funding and organizing these protests. Where in China? Who in China?
Yeah, so China has a group called PSL, and they're the WHO that you should pay attention to. And they're the WHO that have been involved in all of these things when it comes to Colombia, because there are people out there with their Palestinian flags. I saw them in New York. There are people out there with their hijabs, but this is the WHO. Right, because somebody who's here illegally, you know where they're not? They're not out protesting. They're hiding. They're keeping their head down. They're keeping their head low. They're doing what they can not to be seen. Yes, you'll have protesters that are out there who are family members maybe and stuff like that. But the ones that are causing the hell and havoc, this is what they do. So it could be a parade tomorrow. It could be ICE next week. It could be Palestine. This is the chaos that they bring.
The pro-Chinese far-left Party for Socialism and Liberation. They're known as the PSL. They are working with CHIRLA, helping fund the protests in Los Angeles and maybe elsewhere. Remember, all the parties in China are controlled by the CCP. So this is China. And the party is pushing to destroy capitalism and the West. This is its agenda. This is what China wants. They even have a term for the effort. It's called the smokeless war, where they have this theory of how they'll destroy the West without actually taking to the battlefield. That's what they did during the anti-Israel campus protests. The PSL worked hand in glove with anti-Zionist student groups and helped organize and fund the Columbia campus encampments.
And it's an American that is a huge part of this. And it's not Soros, but another tech wackadoo.
Now it gets scarier. Where does the PSL get its money? Enter Shanghai-based socialist billionaire Neville Singham. 2017, he sold his tech company for about $1 billion. Reports show the same year he started funding far-left groups like the PSL to the tune of millions. Singham is not America's friend. He has deep business ties to the CCP, but also has strong ideological ties to communism, period. People who worked for him says he's an admirer of Mao, Che Guevara, Hugo Chavez, not friends of American culture. According to the New York Times, Singham has funded and developed a deep global empire of pro-China nonprofits in the media and grassroots political space, steering millions into these groups over the years, including the PSL.
And when you bring this up, everybody says, oh, it's baloney. No, it's not. It's not baloney. It's real. They've been around for a long time. Paying protesters is nothing new. Paying people to show up at things like this is nothing new. It's you know what you're doing, but there's a difference between paying people that are professional agitators. You have them out there to run hog wild and to do things that are crazy and chaotic. That's why you have them there. Standing there holding a sign that says, heck no, we won't go, more pay or living wage. That's not, I mean, you get that. The unions pay for people to come out and protest. They pay their own members. Like if you want to, if SAG and AFTRA, which is the actors union, when they go on strike, if you want to become a member, you have to have a job to become a member, but you have to be a member to get a job. But when they have strikes, you can go out and hold a sign for like 5 days and then you can become a member, which a lot of people do. Paying is one. This is something completely different.
So wait a minute. You're saying they break the loop so that people will protest, and the reward for protesting is getting your card without the job.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah. That's like paying them. They'll pay people to come out and do those kind of things. But this is not free speech. This is not trying to put numbers out there. This is people who are there to cause hell. And they don't care. And here's the other thing. Go and look. So there's a study been done about some of the people who have been taken in. The phones that they monitor come from areas where they live, where there's some of the richest places on the planet. Why? Because they're young people who are overly educated in this wackadoo world where they've gone to these higher educations. They've got these degrees. And wealthy people lead a lot of revolutions. Rarely is it the poor that reads the revolution. Go look at Che Guevara. He grew up with all the stuff. Like a lot of these people grew up with the silver spoons. They all want to design stuff that they feel will better mankind. But really all it does is they don't want to live under it. They want to design it and live above it. So money inside stuff like this is been there forever, and it's going to be there forever, unfortunately, because the powers that be are too busy fighting with each other to see what's going on in the corner over here, which is where we need to be focusing. Coming up, a lot of stuff still to squeeze in today. We are going to talk about the axolotl, the weird little salamander thingy that, well,
wears his gills on the outside.
Wears the gills on the outside, but by the way, can grow back stuff, which is fascinating. And by the way, guys, I did there's a new study out about beards and how dirty they are or aren't.
Except for mine.
Or mine. I'm not sure about Bell because he doesn't have a head. I don't know what his beard looks like. My buddy Jim came in yesterday. He couldn't see Bell, but he goes, I hear that voice. I know that voice. I recognize that voice. So we'll talk a little bit about the beards. Are they gross? That's Straight Ahead. Chad Benz Show. Super Talk 99.7. Ruff Greens, ruffgreens.com. Go there now. get a free Jumpstart trial bag of Ruff Greens, a powdered supplement you put on top of your dog's food once a day, and it's going to change your dog's life. It is so simple and easy to do. Imagine being able to do one little thing that's going to go so far in your dog's life. It's going to help with aches and pains in their joints. It's going to help them with their energy level, their skin, their fur, their digestive tract, their immune system, all of this stuff. Try a Jumpstart trial bag now. It's a $20 value. All they ask you to do is cover the cost of shipping. You go to ruffgreens.com/Chad. That's ruffgreens.com/Chad. When you get the bag, do not do anything other than just taking the one scoop, putting it on top of the dog's food you're already giving it, and watch what happens. They're going to love the taste. You will love what it does for them, and that is keeping them out of the vet, which saves you money. ruffgreens.com/Chad.
इधर से ज़्यादा नहीं है।
India plane crash. Something went wrong at Fort Campbell's training area last night. Mayor O'Connell has a deadline to meet today. That deadline set by Congress. These stories and more at 1:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
We have beards, boys. Beards, I say. New study out about beards.
Oh, boy.
How dirty are they?
Ooh. Well, I've got a little bird living in mine.
Do you?
Well, if you take a shower every day, how dirty would it be?
Well, it doesn't matter if you take a shower every day, all the time, because you've got your skin. Stuff falls off your skin all the time. Your skin's always flaking and stuff. That's just part of it. Human skin, they say, is home to billions of microorganisms, mainly bacteria, but also some fungi and viruses.
Goodness.
New research shows that beards in particular support a dense and diverse microbiome population.
Well, at least it's diverse. It's all inclusive.
The Washington Post recently did a story. You ready for this, boys?
Yeah.
Some toilets contain fewer germs than the average beard.
No.
By the way, this is the latest study. They've been doing this for 50 years. And our beards are awesome. There's nothing wrong with beards, but they say they may have some issues. They may have some issues with stuff. They think viruses and certain things stay in there. One study found that bearded healthcare workers had a higher bacterial loads on their face than the clean-shaven colleagues.
See, maybe my beard's keeping me from getting sick all the time.
Or we build up immunity to crap that other people can't stand because they're weak. Like, bunch of weakies. You people with those, you know what I call those? The cleanos.
The cleanos.
You cleanos. You know who you are. You know who probably did this study? People who can't grow beards.
Yes.
They said there was no increased infections amongst patients who were treated by the bearded folk, including surgeons. But beards sometimes can spread skin infections. Oh, and they show something that looks like something out of a nightmare. It's part crab and part, I don't know what it is, but that's what they say is on our face.
Dust mite?
Yeah, something like that. It's one of those weird things. It's just, no, yuck. I don't believe it, you cleanos. You come up with this stuff.
Cleanos.
We don't do anything with you and your cleanos. We don't do any of that stuff, right? We don't make, hey, cleanos are weird and they're soft and weak. We don't say any of that stuff. Good God. That's how bad the beards are, though. Can be. Hey, did you see the, speaking of flight, this is totally different. Did you see that guy who posed as a flight attendant and got 122 free flights before they caught him?
Oh, my.
What was that? Catch me if you can.
Awesome.
There's a portion of me that goes, good for you. And the other portion of me is, why do I need the real ID and you guys couldn't catch this dude? Even yesterday, so my buddy that was here, Jim, he didn't have his real ID. So he goes to the airport. They go, you got to go to this line. He goes, I go to the line. I'm the only, the other line's packed out. I'm the only person in the line. The guy looks at me and goes, you don't have a real ID? He says, no. They take a picture of his face. They look at his ID. They put a sticker on the back of it that says, get a real ID. And that's pretty much about it.
Did he have any issues going back to L.A.?
No. That was it. And he goes, I got through quicker than everybody else. There you go, kids. But I don't know if I trust him because he's also a cleano.
Yeah, that's right. He was a cleano, too.
You guys know who you are.
Cleanos.
I can't trust cleanos as far as I see them. With their faces, their unshaven faces, like children. Oh, my Lord.
Cherub faces.
Oh, the cherub
Little
faces.
cherubs.
If you guys are trying to text us, it's down, right? We're having issues. I saw Dan had issues with it this morning. The text line is having some serious issues.
Oh, man.
I know. People can't yell at me over my disdain for... That's the question I want to ask. Here's the question. And maybe if we can't get the lineup, maybe we should do it tomorrow. Because I want to get the lineup first, because I want to hear for what you people have to say about a certain thing that I was going to ask. But part of it is your participation in said thing that we can't do. Because... Are you still having issues, Bill? Is it not working for you?
I'm not seeing anything new popping up at all.
So I go to it, and I saw Dan this morning had trouble, and Joan did too. She tried to get on and says not letting her on. Now I just get that little pinwheel of death, and it spins around, and then it takes me to something else where it's not working. So it says domain configuration pending. Probably a bunch of cleanos working on it, that's why. Coming up, Alex Padilla, Democrat.
Yeah, I was just looking at that.
Hilarious, by the way. That wasn't planned. No. Hey, guys, get my good side on this one. We'll talk about that, Iran, a bunch of other stuff to get to. It's the Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7.
1:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Full forecast in 5 minutes. Yeah, Senator Alex Padilla had to be forcibly removed after interrupting a news conference by Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem. Local hospital officials in Ahmedabad, India, confirm one person on board the Air India plane that crashed has survived. The Boeing 787 Dreamliner with 242 passengers and crew on board, heading to London when it crashed shortly after takeoff. ABC News transportation correspondent Sam Sweeney has more on the Dreamliner.
This particular plane has done more than 8,000 flights. There has never been a fatal crash with a Boeing 787. There has never been a crash with a Boeing 787. When you have a design flaw in an airplane, typically we learn about that early on like we did on the 737 MAX. But this has now flown more than 1 billion passengers. It has been in service for more than a decade with no significant issues.
So the survivor, Ramesh Bishwash Kumar, was traveling along with his brother. He said that trouble started within 30 seconds of the flight takeoff, adding that it all happened so quickly. In the meantime, Air India said out of the 230 passengers, 169 were Indians, 53 British, 7 Portuguese, and 1 Canadian. The other 12 were 2 pilots and 10 crew members. Something went wrong at Fort Campbell's training area last night. 1 soldier died, another one injured in a helicopter incident around 7 o'clock. Their identities have not been released. The incident's under investigation. And here in Nashville, today's the deadline. We're waiting to see if Mayor Freddie O'Connell turns over documents in the House Judiciary and Homeland Security Committee's investigations of his executive order they say puts ICE agents in danger. O'Connell's order requires all Nashville city personnel to report any federal immigration actions they run across to his office within 24 hours. That's the latest news. Weather is next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Busy Bee, HVAC and plumbing. Are you guys ready to have a little getaway thanks to Busy Bee? If you buy a new HVAC system this month, you're going to be in the running for a little vacation on them. A 3-day beach getaway, including gas, meals per day, lodging. The winner's going to be announced on Facebook. Only clients who purchased this month are in the running, and they're going to announce it on Facebook Live. And some restrictions apply, so check out everything there. But they're ready to send you away while they put that in. So when you come back, it's cool and relaxing. They got tons of great deals at Busy Bee, including you want to join the Beehive Club right now. $99 get you 2 years this year and next year with Busy Bee. That's awesome. Incredible. They got great deals on everything from drain video inspection to water heater flushes to $500 off selected tankless and upright water heaters. And let's not forget, if you need those ducts clean right now, you buy the mid-level package, they're going to give you a free upgauge to the deluxe package. That is a win. They're the best around, period, case closed. When you need somebody, when it comes to your HVAC and plumbing, there is only one, Busy Bee. Call them today, 775-7833, 775-7833, or online at visitbusybeehvac.com. Alex Padilla. Hilarious. It is so funny. MSNBC's all, seeing Padilla manhandled like a common everyday protester will be jarring. Dude, you rushed the secretary.
He knows exactly what he's doing.
Yeah, that's going to be jarring. Yeah, it's going to be jarring. First of all, I don't know if you're aware of this, but he's also a Clino. And he got manhandled by somebody smaller than him, too. Manhandled, too. The guy put his hand in his chest and settled down there, dude.
Yeah. One of them removing him whenever he gets to the outer chamber looks like Dan Mandis in a security uniform.
Yeah. So that's how tough that is. They couldn't even.
Brother Dan Mandis took him.
It's one of those people that are like, yeah, normally, I work the snack shack, but tonight I got the yellow vest on that says security. So you got manhandled. That's going to be disturbing for many Californians. Here's the funny thing. What should be disturbing is the fact that if this was the Democrats and it was a Republican did that, he rushed that woman. How dare he do that? It shows the disrespect he has for women.
There you go.
He knew exactly what he was doing.
Absolutely.
Sacrificing himself for the betterment of mankind.
All these people, man.
Right? Who said Hollywood? This is, it was Fred Thompson. Fred Thompson said that that politics was Hollywood for ugly people. That's what it is. It is.
And Clinos.
Yeah, and Clinos. It's all of it is theatrics. This was one of those things where he turned to his people and he's like, you guys ready? I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And then it was this kind of, hold me back. I'm coming. Like when I take my dog for a walk and he's on a leash and I take him off the leash and all of a sudden the other dog's off the leash. He's like, I was kidding when I was on the leash.
I was just joking.
Yeah. By the way, on the way here, Ken, I was thinking of you. There's this
little weenie.
This girl pushing her little wiener dog.
Yeah.
And I go, he's in a little, like a stroller. And I go, look at you. You having a walk? He's like looking at me. He's like, and she goes, he won't walk there, but he will walk back. So I have to push him to where he's going, so he'll walk back. The things we do for dogs.
I had some neighbors in Boise, man. They had little fat chihuahuas.
Yeah.
And when they took them on a walk, they would put all three of them in the same baby bassinet. And all you could see was these little fat chihuahua faces hanging out the side.
That is so awesome. I love that.
One of them's name was Chico.
Chico.
I mean, he'd give you the business, too. His bark sounded like this. He went, "Row, row."
Oh, he was ready to throw down.
Oh, he was going to get you.
I love that. But that is, it was just, she goes, yeah, I can't get him to walk there. She goes, he used to just walk at least one of the ways, and I used to have to carry him home. She goes, now he will only walk back. And like my dogs, they want to go down to the little dog park so they can take a pee, but it's not because they have to pee. It's because they know when they come back, they get a little treat. So they've trained themselves to get a treat, which is hilarious. Dogs. What was that study that, the people let dogs sleep inside?
Oh, yeah. Let me look at that. Apparently, you're not getting the sleep that doctors recommend if you're letting little quote-unquote Fido in the bed with you.
Yeah.
Here's Sherry Preston.
Who doesn't like a cuddly cat or a friendly dog on the bed with them at night? A lot of pet owners let their animals up with them, but doctors say doing that can negatively disrupt your sleep. Couple of reasons. Dogs and cats' sleep cycles aren't the same as ours. They're restless when we aren't. Then there's the pet dander and microbes brought into the house that can affect breathing. The more pets you have, the more your sleep can be interrupted. Most pet owners, however, know all this, but they don't really care. They say Fido stays. Sherry Preston, ABC News.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean,
yeah, I'm not kicking my cat out of bed over that.
See, my cat, so this is my cat's routine at night. I go to bed, he jumps on the bed, he bites my one foot, the left foot, the big toe, 40 times through the things. He gets down, he brings me his little hair thing. I shoot it 3 or 4 times. He brings it back to me, then he goes to bed.
Yeah.
That's it. That is it.
That's why you don't get good sleep.
That's not why I don't get good sleep. I don't get good sleep because I just don't sleep.
You just don't sleep, dude. You talked about it.
They love their dogs, but there's some dogs, like little dogs, you let them up there. I mean, I get that people do that. I was watching the thing the other day. Was it the Cane Corso, whatever those?
Oh yeah.
This guy's like, he goes, this guy wouldn't sell me this dog because he said you can't let that dog sleep in your bed, and it has nothing to do with sleep. It's because that's a dog that you need to dominate. You have to show we're not on the same level.
Right.
Right? We're not. Like, it's not a Chihuahua or a weenie dog. They're already going to, where's little Fritz sleep?
Fritz, he sleeps in the bed.
Yeah. Yeah. We all let it happen. I mean, our dogs, Bowie and Bowie, who's got a bow tie, and the Red, they jump up on the. Oh, Bowie can't jump. It's so funny.
You got stairs?
Yeah, we have little stairs. Like, Red is made of helium, so he can jump. He's just whee. Bowie is like a boat anchor, so he'll do 2 fakes, and then that's it. And then he's like, "All right, you gonna pick me up?"
What about you, Ken? You got a set of steps for your?
Yeah, we got a ramp.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got a ramp upstairs. Now we carry Fritz. We carry Fritz downstairs. We're not worried about his back going upstairs. But wiener dogs' backs are problematic for them going downstairs.
Well, wiener dogs' backs are weird because the wiener dogs are doing planks.
Yeah.
Which we know in the summertime, those band members that do planks, woo! Don't mess with them.
You couldn't do it.
No, I couldn't. Then when I found out what it was, I used to do those all the time.
Oh, the planks?
Yes.
Yeah, they killed me, man.
So it hurt my back. After a while.
Yes.
Like, even when I was super fit, I'm like, I don't know if this is great for the back long term. Like, I don't, you always get that person's like, oh, this guy did it for 18 hours. Well, that's weird. Don't do that. So, but no, letting your dog sleep on there, we all do it. Let's not pretend.
Fritz goes straight to the bottom.
That's
he gets under the covers and goes straight to the bottom.
That's where our dogs go. And the cat doesn't mess with them, but he will bite my damn toe.
Why do my dad's cat, little Catu, he loves biting my ankles whenever I'm there visiting. Now, they don't hurt. I mean, he wraps his claws around my leg and then bites my ankle.
Such a bizarre. Cats are awesome, but they're so odd at times.
This little cat's awesome, man. He'll let you rub his belly.
That's what I will walk in the house. My cat falls to the floor and then rolls over. Like, are you ready? Because my belly is fluffy right now.
Get after it, Daddy.
And he's only like a year old. This is what Santa Claus brought us because he didn't like us. And for my daughter. But the funny thing is, he still doesn't really quite understand how his nails work.
Yeah.
Because they'll come out and he just looks like, whoa, did that just happen on my hand?
What is that?
I got steak knives.
That's right. That's so cool. That's got to be awesome to have steak knives. And he rules the roost. He sits there and he looks out over Broadway and Division Street or whatever, and he just looks and he's like, I could just knock stuff over to you guys all day.
Yeah.
Tear this place up.
That's mine.
Absolutely. Do not mess with me. I don't know if we're at war yet with Iran, but man, they're talking about it. And I know they called what do they call Chris? Wussy? Sissy? Because he doesn't want to go to war?
Oh, yeah, a wussy.
What's the want to go to war at all?
Ask a veteran if they want to go to war.
No, nobody wants to go to war. And we're great at war and breaking stuff. We're bad at the exit. Like, we're great at doing the move. We're bad at the landing.
Remember, we spent 20 years to replace the Taliban with
the Taliban. Yeah. But a lot of people got rich. So if the goal was getting a lot of people rich, that happened. Oh, my God. Now it's breaking news on CNN. Alex Padilla.
Oh, yeah.
He's coming for people. Forcibly removed.
Forcibly removed. We warn our viewers, this may be disturbing.
That is just, he is, and went after Immigration Barbie. Is that what they call her?
Yeah.
Is that her nickname?
Yeah, Christy, no.
Immigration Barbie's her nickname. This whole thing, though, like, people are going to be disturbed. Well, you said, warning, people may be disturbed. On what? What are you disturbed about?
Yeah, a guy getting pushed out of a room.
Where you went and tried to challenge the secretary. Talk about disrespect. That is so disrespectful.
Yeah.
That if that was a Republican doing it to a Democrat, it would be nonstop news, 24 breaking news, breaking an assassination attempt.
Nazis have landed.
Yes, this is it. He's like trying
Republican Nazi.
And it's so funny too because first of all, if that's Tim Walz totally gets by that guy because he's the coach and he's going to teach the guy how to roll.
Oh,
like
yeah.
he's going for the sack.
That's Coach Walz.
Yeah, but as we know, nothing's more manly than Coach Walz. But the watching it on the big screen rather than a little thing here, it was trying to get at. He could have moved and he would have stayed in the same place. It was, but why though? Why? Because you want to show how angry you are. Because ICE is there. Because they're bringing in the National Guard. Look, I'm not a fan of the Marines. I don't think we need the Marines on the streets. But the National Guard, that's a you problem. You guys didn't do the things you're supposed to. You wonder why they're going into places? Well, you don't want to cooperate, even when they've got a warrant to get somebody out of jail. Your thing is, I'm going to keep this person here until they're gone, or I'm going to send them out the back or release them when they don't know. You're not cooperating. So what did you expect? You're like, wow, Trump was really serious about this. Yeah, he was. Very serious about this. And this is what you get. And you're an idiot for doing this. But you know what? You got what you wanted because when they panned away the news cameras, all of his people had their phones up. So that's a win for him. That is. That's a win for him. He won. Oh, they're going to be so upset, California. No, they're not. No, they're not. And, you know, here's the other thing. Growing up in a Mexican family, Chad, yes. Growing up in a Mexican family, we will tell you this. You know why people don't freak out? Like, there's a lot of people in that are scared. All right, these people don't care about. They're cannon fodder.
Right.
But why the Mexican families and the Guatemalans and they don't freak out about like stuff like this because A, they think it's a joke, and B, when stuff like this happens, I go, well, that's an idiot. He's an idiot. Why was he doing that? They don't care. The way that people think. They think they're always that there's some sort of group that is monolithic. First of all, they're not. Just to let you guys know that. Secondly, they're not the victims, and they'll tell you they're not the victims. The ones who are not the paid protesters are usually second and third generation who've gone to college and been indoctrinated. Those are the ones who are very much activists and La Raza and stuff like that. Just insane. Will there, won't there be a parade this weekend? Now, I got it wrong last hour, and I do apologize. Although Rand Paul said he was uninvited from the picnic, which he was, but then Trump says, no, I'm not. But he put that on Truth, and I don't have Truth because I've got enough crap to look at. And it gets in between, at this point in time, I'm watching a lot of hoof stuff, right? With Nathan the Hoof guy.
I forgot to bring up my Truth. I got to do that.
So, yeah, you're the Truth guy.
I've got to have my Truth.
Have you ever Truth, or you just go and look?
No, I'm there for news, period.
Yeah. So, and the only news on there is Trump.
Yes.
It's Trump and then, I guess, other people.
I am following President Trump, and that's it.
Yeah, that's it. That's all you need to follow. Because I think that's I don't even know if I have an account. What was the other one? There was Blue Sky, which I had an account. And then they wouldn't let me. All I wanted to do was restream Alex Jones, and they wouldn't let me do that. That was all I wanted to do on Blue Sky because I just thought they would lose their mind.
Well, didn't they immediately get pegged with like being a safe haven for pedophiles too?
Yeah, and it was Blue and On too. The craziest conspiracy theories were there. And then the other one, what was the one? Was it Dan Bongino's company? What was that one? The
Parler?
Parler.
Yeah, it's Parler.
What happened to that?
I think I have a Parler account.
I think I have a Parler account, too.
Didn't Kanye West try to buy that at one point?
Did he? He tried to do a lot of things.
No, not did he, Kanye.
No, they're all the same.
Oh.
Right? Like, they're all nuts. They're all crazy, and they should, well, one should be institutionalized, and the other one's going to jail. Jail. He's going to go to jail, unless Trump pardons him.
No, he's going to go to prison.
Yeah, he's going to go to hell. And he's going to go to hell before he goes to prison and before he goes to hell again, which is good. Coming up, we'll talk a little bit about a bunch of stuff, including the forcibly removed Alex Padilla.
We warn our viewers, the following scenes could be disturbing.
Some names have been changed
or
to
extremely
protect the
entertaining.
innocent. Oh, they've got David Chalian on. on CNN talking about this. Doing a blow-by-blow. You know what would be great doing this? Having all Madden on there. What you see here, like, this is it. He got big butts. He's got big butt.
You got to have big butts on the line.
Oh, my Lord. It is the Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7. Prize Picks. Download the app today. Use my code Chad. You get a $5 bonus when you play your first lineup. Now, what is a lineup? You set the lineup pretty darn easily. It's about stats based on players. It's not teams. So you pick a player, right? There's a big championship going on in basketball. You pick a player from one of those teams, and maybe it's rebounds. You can have more or less of this. Maybe it's more or less in three-pointers or assists. And on the other side, you might pick the other team and one of their players. You could do hockey. You can do any sport. It's incredible, and it's more or less, and it's never been easier. You can win up to 2,000 times your money, and it's so many amazing promos going on right now, especially through the championships. So what are you waiting for? Download the app today, and remember, you get a $50 bonus the minute you use my code CHAD. So you download the app, use the code CHAD, $50 bonus, win or lose on your first $5 play. So you go out there and you throw out your $5, and doesn't matter what happens, you're going to get that $50 immediately sent to you. So what are you waiting for? Download the app today. Play Prize Picks. Run your game. Must be 21, present in Tennessee. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-426-2537.
Weather can change in an instant, and you need to be prepared for any outcome. That's why Generator Supercenter of Nashville will help keep your family safe and connected. We make buying a backup generator simple and easy, with financing options available, free in-home estimate, turnkey installations, no worry warranty, and most importantly, the monitoring and service of your fully installed generator. Come see us at our location in Nashville or visit us online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
President Trump asked today if Israeli military action against Iran is imminent. We've got part of his answer coming up at 2 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
I'm gonna play this. If there are kids in the car, make sure they listen to this because this guy's an idiot.
I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the secretary because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your hands off.
What did you say? Hands off?
Hands off. Oh God.
Oh, Senator Padilla.
Senator
Such
Padilla.
a martyr for the cause.
R.I.P. R.I.P. We wish you all the best, sir. Man, that was spectacular.
I mean, they just pushed him right out.
It was.
They had leverage on him.
They did. Well, yeah, littler guy got underneath, got the leverage, and it was over.
I mean, that's it.
She's going to have security guards standing right there with her, even in a federal building, right?
And that's who it was. It was, but and next hour, we're going to start it because the hour with the MSNBC reaction may be, you're going to want to stick around. It may be so, you would swear they took him outside and shot him.
They tried to murder him.
Oh.
Will he ever be seen again? I don't know.
Only your cards and letters to your representatives can change the way things work.
Hold on, let's hear this again.
How many of our ICE agents have been doxxed?
Hands off!
Hands off!
Hands off! God. It's all about pad level, Senator Padilla.
That's
Hi, this
right.
is Governor Tim Walz. Coach Walz, if you will.
Yeah, that's what he should have been. Well, Coach Walz is very busy today teaching everybody how to do the right squats while talking about sanctuary cities in D.C. as they get ready for the military parade of parades. Will it happen this weekend? Oh, that's also the big news. So they're saying that there may be a chance that it may or may not happen, depending on the weather this weekend, which is supposed to be pretty nasty. Trust me, I know, having been through Monday's weather of insanity, you don't want a bunch of people out there if there is going to be lightning, because you're not really worried about the rain.
Ooh, Saturday in Washington, D.C., 30 to 60% chance of showers and then showers.
Ooh. What will that do? It's still going to be the biggest crowd ever. That's what we predict.
We're not going to let a little rain stop an Abrams tank.
Not today, we're not, kids. Coming up, Senator Padilla taken into custody. Will he ever be seen again? And we'll get his reaction to what it's like to live in El Salvador. If you missed any of the program, shame, grab the podcast. Chad Betts Show, Super Talk 99.7.
Two o'clock on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. President Trump was just asked if Israeli military action against Iran is imminent.
Well, I don't want to say imminent, but it looks like it's something that could very well happen. Look, it's very simple, not complicated. Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. Other than that, I want them to be successful. I want them to be tremendous. We'll help them be successful. We'll trade with them. We'll do whatever is necessary.
Now, this has Iran has ramped up its uranium enrichment against the guidelines of the United Nations nuclear watchdog. And as the U.S. and Iran are scheduled to continue talks this weekend. Got some breaking news out of India. Reports say a British man survived that deadly crash of the Boeing 787 Dreamliner that went down shortly after takeoff. The civil hospital there in Ahmedabad confirms that Ramesh Vishwaskumar, a passenger on the downed Air India flight, is alive and hospitalized there. Up and talking. Officials earlier said no survivors had been expected in the crash. And right now in Middle Tennessee, today's the deadline for Nashville Mayor Freddie O'Connell to hand over documents demanded by Congress. The U.S. House Judiciary and Homeland Security Committees investigating O'Connell's executive order requiring city personnel to report any interactions with immigration officials directly to him within 24 hours. No word on if he'll comply. Meanwhile, in our nation's capital, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem telling reporters ICE operations are not slowing down amid the growing protests.
The Department of Homeland Security and the officers and the agencies and the departments and the military people that are working on this operation will continue to sustain and increase our operations in this city. We are not going away.
And then California Democrat U.S. Senator Alex Padilla barges in, interrupts Secretary Noem, and gets forcibly removed from the room.
So I want to say thank you to every single person that has been able to do this. Also, I want to talk specifically to the rioters and to the politicians in Los Angeles.
A half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your
And off Senator Padilla went, getting manhandled. If you
He got mandled.
He got mandled. All right, if you simply cannot stop yourself from speeding, judges in a rising number of states have a new tool to encourage or require self-control. ABC's Jim Ryan tells us about the intelligent speed assistant devices approved for use in 2 states.
Once the law takes effect, courts in Virginia will be able to require the installation of a device that monitors and reports the habits of drivers who have been convicted of speeding. The device in Washington state will actually prevent the car from exceeding the speed limit. Governor Bob Ferguson.
What's behind this bill is, of course, a really simple goal, which is to save lives.
Other states, including California and Arizona, are considering their own versions of intelligent speed assistance. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
I'm very busy over here gathering all the information about Alex Padilla, the senator.
Sure do hope he's okay.
I don't know. So if you guys haven't heard, this audio for a lot of people is very tough to take. He was in peaceably relaxing and enjoying himself during a press conference of Kristi Noem. And, well, here's a little bit of it.
I'm Senator Alex Padilla. I have questions for the secretary, because the fact of the matter is a half a dozen violent criminals that you're rotating on your heads off.
I know. You guys okay? Well, then we go strictly over to MSNBC. When the danger happened, and guys, they're there for us. They're going to describe it blow by blow.
It appears that he was arrested outside the room, Christina. I am now in possession of video that was taken from a different angle of this same incident.
She's in possession of it, Ken. She's got it in possession. Hold that for what could potentially be because this is a smoking gun.
The video you showed earlier shows Senator Padilla being escorted out of the room and quickly ends thereafter. The video that I have seen shows that what happens when he goes into that hallway, he is further pushed into the hallway by somebody wearing an FBI shirt. He is then pushed onto the ground and placed under arrest with his hands behind his back.
Oh, good God. Wait, you rushed a person who is a secretary in the administration, and you got to get out of. I can't believe that. No, she must have rushed him. She came to him. So it had to have happened. Continue, MSNBC.
As he is face down on the floor by 3 additional officers. Obviously, we don't have full information about the altercation that led him to be pushed out of the room by personnel either from the Department of Homeland Security or the FBI. But this is yet another escalation between the Department of Homeland Security and those agents working at their disposal.
Whoa. What? Are you blanking kidding me? You are a sitting senator who tried to get up in the middle of a press conference in front of the cameras and everybody else and somewhat bum rush and hijack it. And you pushed back and you got removed. They act like, oh yeah, they took him out back and shot him. I don't even know. Let's hear it. This could be, well, it gets better, kids.
And lawmakers, obviously LaMonica McIver, a congresswoman from New Jersey, has now been indicted on 3 federal charges for which she could face up to 18 years in prison in an altercation that started not dissimilarly from this. You know, one of the things I was looking for is whether or not Senator Padilla himself.
Wait. She went to an ICE facility.
Yeah.
Not a press conference. She had cameras, and she left at the ICE folk, if I'm correct, because there was a lot of chaos and there was all kinds, because there were several people arrested. But I don't remember there being a press conference where she bum rushed somebody. That's not the same thing, okay?
Put his hands back on those who were involved in that altercation with him, as LaMonica McIver is alleged to have done. And you can see from the video you're showing right now, somewhat, that Senator Padilla is pushing back or has his hands on the officer from the video that I have seen.
By the way, Ken, the video that she's seen, again, a different video, you explain to everybody why he had a tough time trying to break the line and get to the quarterback. There was no leverage.
No, it's all about pad level.
Pad level.
You've got to be low. You've got to be lower than the lineman.
Yeah. And
if you're a defensive lineman and you stand up, an offensive lineman, I don't care how big they are, they're going to run you right off the field.
And he didn't. Hey, if he'd have listened to Tim Walz, this wouldn't have happened.
It's much clearer. At some point, he then stops resisting, puts his hands up, and nonetheless, they push him down the hallway, put him face down, his hands behind his back. He's arrested. I don't know yet what has going to come of this and where Senator Padilla has been taken. But this is a big escalation of what has been happening in California. Senator Padilla, as David was mentioning earlier.
Hold on a second. He's not here illegally. He tried to, if I went and there was, KJP was having a press conference somewhere and I went at her, I would expect them to whoop my ass.
Yes.
That is not an escalation. That is stupidity. In fact, if they didn't, I'd be like, you guys are really not doing your job. Right. Right? I mean, come on. But it gets better because we've got to explain everything about him.
Is a son of California. He grew up in Pacoima in Los Angeles' San Fernando Valley, where I'm also from.
Oh.
Well, there you go.
By the way, I'm also from Pacoima.
Pacoima is a heavily Latino community. Senator Padilla, born to immigrants.
Okay, here's where it gets good, guys. This is the money shot.
He himself is the pride of much of the Latino community in the Los Angeles area. To see him manhandled in this way, like a common everyday protester, is going to be particularly jarring for many who are watching from California, where he is.
Nancy, you sound like you got the vapors. Oh, Lord, I've got the vapors.
Oh, my goodness, MSNBC.
What I love about that is when they put the twist of the Latino.
Yeah, Latino.
He, too, is part of a Latino community. Forget about it.
And all Latinos are going to be upset when they see this.
I guarantee you. You know what Latinos are saying? Like my uncle, who's a Latino. If you saw us, go check out our video on the YouTube. We do it every single night. He would say, you're being an idiot. This is what you get for being an idiot.
Well, it's like you said. If you were to do something like that, you'd get your ass kicked.
As you should. I don't care what side of the aisle you're on. The fact is, any other position like this, you might not just get somebody pushing you back.
Right.
You might get really whooped up on.
Well, you can. I hear one of the security personnel say, "Hands up, hands up."
Yep.
Because they don't know who this guy is.
No. But
just
he's from
barging
Pacoima.
into the room.
I'm from Pacoima. Okay, good. That means, what does that mean to anybody? This is not an escalation. The escalation came from this guy. You showed up to cause trouble. You showed up to get the video that you're happy you got, and to cause this craziness, and you got everything you wanted. MSNBC, I mean, they're clutching their pearls.
Matt Al will have him on tonight.
Oh, you kidding me?
He will be on tonight.
She might switch teams for this guy just for tonight.
Oh, and by the way,
probably not.
He's a cleano.
Oh, he's a cleano. If you guys didn't know this, people who don't have facial hair. That's also a reason that he struggled to get around this guy, because I would have got around that guy. I wouldn't let that guy get leverage on me. And I sure wouldn't show up to do something like this in dress shoes. You're never going to get good grip with that.
I'd have poked him in the eye with my beard.
Oh, that's a ninja. Let's just say, though, here's something. Let's play devil's. He gets around that guy and starts going towards her.
Yeah.
Then what? Because now you've gone from the guy that's trying to calm you down and put his hands on you to the person who may decide they're going to with a zapper.
And he's lucky if it's a zapper.
Yeah, he is. He is lucky. But this is this is what's going on in California.
An escalation.
It's nonstop. Wait, hold on. You mean to tell me that senators are rushing at people all over California? How did this happen? I don't know. Just and then they had David Shalley on this, on.
Does this make it okay to rush your congressperson if they're not voting the way you like?
Maybe this is it. No,
quid pro quo, right?
Yeah. If this was a Republican that did this to a Democrat woman, they would have lost their mind.
It would have been misogyny all over the place.
Oh, patriarchy, misogyny, all of the things. All of it. But don't let your kids see this if they're not good at rushing the quarterback. But if they are good at playing line, show them how low the guy got, and he went up, and it was over.
It's all about pad level, baby.
Pad level, baby.
Show it to your son, Jack, and see if he thinks he could have hit him better.
Oh, did you see the guy in California who threw the bottle at the cop's face and turned around and went to run, and some dude comes in and just lays the guy out? I mean, hits him, sign him. Somebody's going to sign that guy.
It is a textbook linebacker move.
Yeah. I mean, he got him around the waist. Like, if it was a shark, you would have come in half.
I think I saw that, but I maybe he's thinking of a different
You would have
video.
been in half. I'm surprised. And he took that guy out.
He did.
He did. In fact, one of the guys that's there protecting everything, they actually threw a flag because they thought it was after the whistle. That's how hard he got hit.
That was good pad level.
That was good pad level, sir, but you can't do that kind of stuff. Yeah. Alex Padilla arrested, and we wish him well. You know Trump's going to totally throw the book at him.
You know it, man.
It's like he is totally good. And they're going to, not only that, Pam Bondi's going to come out tonight on Fox because that's the only place she goes. She's going to yell at the camera. I don't know what it is with her screaming always at the camera. You know you have a microphone. And then she's going to talk about how hard they're going to go after this guy and that you can't do that. And it's just such theatrics. It is. It is so theatrical. Even now, they got Democratic Senator Alex Padilla forcibly removed.
Forcibly removed for no reason.
No reason whatsoever. He was kind enough. She's in the middle of something. Talking.
Well, he had just thought of it, and he didn't want to forget it before he got his point out.
And he needed to do it in front of her face.
Real close.
Real close. And this is an escalation. And this is what happens. They're arresting Americans who is Latino from Pacoima.
Let's be honest. He would have never wanted to get that close if she hadn't been dressed like that.
No. She is nice in the eyes. Let's be honest. I mean, it's politics, and we all understand that politics, the bar isn't super high in the world of politics.
No.
So, but it is, Fred Thompson was right. Politics is Hollywood for ugly people. And this guy was definitely trying to do something here. It was almost like it was when you go to one of those comedy things and it's improv. Take your hands off me.
I've seen some of the women that Fred dated, and they're pretty easy on the eyes.
Oh, yeah. But they were Hollywood ladies, right? He went out with, what's her name when, what was her name? She had the country singer, the short, Lori Morgan, wasn't that it?
I think that's right.
Didn't they date for a while?
I think they did.
Yeah, Fred was a hell of an actor, which also shows you how easy it is to act. They asked him to do one thing, like play a senator on TV. The next thing you know, he was on Law and Order something for like 12 years.
Yeah, he was in Hunt for Red October.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, he dated one of the salespeople at KDF.
Oh, did he?
Yeah.
Was she easy on the eyes?
Oh, yeah.
He was in Sinister. He was the sheriff in Sinister.
That's right. He had a long career.
He did, man.
In Hollywood. And they loved him, even though he was on the other team.
Yeah, he was. That's right. He's on the other team.
Oh, I wonder what he would have made of today's theatrics. Oh, good God. You know what? First of all, can I just say this? It takes a lot of cojones to go and he's gonna speak here in a little bit, Senator. He's gonna speak after.
Of course,
he's got to. He's got to first go. He's PTSD, but it takes cojones to go out there. I think always, like even when I see people dancing. I was walking down the street the other day. There were a few TikTokers in front of the naked statues doing a bunch of dances, and I think, man, that's. First of all, it's embarrassing, but it takes some cojones to know that, like, you're staging something this ridiculous, because that's what this was.
Yeah.
Wait a minute. Ridiculous. You do karaoke, and that can be considered the same thing.
Not if you're not taking selfies.
I did karaoke with my wife, and when it was her and I in a booth where they lock you in there so nobody can hear how horrible you sing.
You made it sound like
else around.
You made it sound like you do karaoke on the regular.
No, God, no. Well, there's no reason for that. That's nobody wants to hear that, any of that stuff. Alex Padilla, for those of you, he is alive. He's going to be speaking in a minute. Very impassionate after being taken into custody for trying to escalate.
Hopefully he's fully recovered.
Yeah, I hope so. We'll see. He was manhandled.
He was manhandled.
He was mandled, is what they're saying.
His dignity was taken from him.
Stolen right there in front of the world. If you miss any of the show, we say shame on you. It is the Chad Benson Show. Super Talk 99.7. Ruff Greens, ruffgreens.com. Vitamins, minerals, probiotics, omega 369, all this incredible stuff packed into an amazing supplement you give your dog on a daily basis. And it is awesome. Our older dog, Doodle, who we loved, he passed away last year, but Doodle shouldn't have lived as long as he should because he had really bad hips to the point where we were going to put him to sleep after we had only had him for about a year. We adopted him. He was later in his life. And I tell you what, once we started giving him this, his energy levels went through the roofs. And then all of a sudden, the pain subsided. And it was incredible. It was one little thing, one thing that we changed that changed his life. And this was Ruff Greens. Try a Jumpstart trial bag of Ruff Greens today. All they ask you to do is cover the cost of shipping. It is a few bucks. It is that simple. Ruffgreens.com, ruffgreens.com/chat. It's a $20 value. You cover the cost of shipping. Don't change anything with their food. Just add this to their food every day, one time, and you watch what happens. Ruffgreens.com/chat. let me tell you something. My friends over at Beacon want to talk to you about what's going on in your retirement. It's not just about dollars and cents. There's a lot of things that encompass retirement, and Beacon is here to help you. Things like, well, healthcare, estate planning, long-term planning, tax planning. They want to be your full service group that works with you when it comes to your investments and everything as far as your advisor. They want to get you out a retirement-ready toolkit. It's not going to cost anything, just a phone call. They send it out to you. They're local. They're great to stand and talk with. They're amazing people. In this, you're going to get, for the Retirement Ready Toolkit, a Money Enough for Life book, a retirement planning checklist, and a Maximizing Your Retirement Income white paper. Doesn't cost you anything, and there's no pressure whatsoever. Call Beacon today and find out what they can do for you. You don't want to unretire, but you also don't want to forget about all the other things you have to take care of. Call 615-488-9303, 615-488-9303, or check out everything they do online at AskBeaconNow.com.
India media reporting as many as 265 bodies have been recovered from today's crash of an India air flight. There were only 242 people on the plane. One person who was on board survived. We've got the update and more coming up at 2:30 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.
So this is what I'm learning about the tragic incident that took place a little while ago, not in India, but in California with Kristi Noem and Padilla. Bill Malushin's reporting they actually talked afterwards for about 10, 15 minutes. Kristi Noem and them, they exchanged phone calls. Sure. They had a conversation. They said she said it was very cordial and beneficial. He has concerns about ICE. They opened up a line of communication. She said it was a good meeting of the two. And, you know, the funny thing is we're sitting here talking about it, and Padilla is going to speak right now. In fact, Belle, can you grab this on CNN right now? He's getting ready to talk about his tragic experience that just took place. If you guys haven't heard, he's a senator who kind of started to bum rush-ish.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Here he goes.
Good afternoon, everybody.
Hello.
I'm Senator Alex Padilla. You guys have some questions. I'm going to read a brief statement. I will not be taking questions, but allow me to read my statement. Okay. I'm here in Los Angeles today, and I was here in the federal building, in the conference room, awaiting a scheduled briefing from federal officials as part of my responsibility as a senator to provide oversight and accountability. While I was waiting for the briefing with General Guillot, I learned that Secretary Noem was having a press conference a couple of doors down the hall. Since the beginning of the year, but especially over the course of recent weeks, several of my colleagues have been asking the Department of Homeland Security for more information and more answers on their increasingly extreme immigration enforcement actions. And we've gotten little to no information in response to our inquiries. And so I came to the press conference to hear what she had to say, to see if I could learn any new additional information.
Yeah, that's what you did.
Yeah.
And at one point, I had a question. And let me emphasize, just as we've emphasized the right for people to peacefully protest and to stand up for their First Amendment rights, for our fundamental rights. Wow. I was there peacefully. At one point, I had a question. Okay. And so I began to ask a question. I was almost immediately forcibly removed from the room. I was forced to the ground, and I was handcuffed.
And I was killed.
I was not arrested.
I got better.
I was not detained. I will say this. If this is how this administration responds to a senator with a question, if this is how the Department of Homeland Security responds to a senator with a question, you can only imagine what they're doing to farm workers, to cooks, to day laborers out in the Los Angeles community.
Always crying.
And throughout California.
He's going for it.
And throughout the country.
Yeah, illegal aliens.
We will hold this administration accountable. And we'll have more to say will have more to say in the coming days. Let me say just briefly
You can say it in
Spanish as
Here
well.
it goes in Spanish. All right, there we go. That was Senator Padilla from California, who was removed forcibly. By the way, it wasn't.
He just had a question, Brother Chad. He just had a question that he felt like he needed to bum rush toward his Secretary Noem to ask.
And by the way, it was not question and answer time.
No,
none of the other people there were asking questions. You weren't with any media.
I wonder if he would have minded if any of those reporters there bum rushed him to ask a question in the middle of his little.
That would have been good.
That would have been good. There you go. See
what a liar! Just a liar. I got to call it like I see it, man.
It is. And here's the other thing: they don't know you're a senator, right? Most people couldn't pick you out of a lineup, even in California. Right. Like I said, one of these people is a senator. Who is it? I don't know. You know, most people don't even know what your state senator is, let alone your senator. You could be walking in the mall next to somebody, and you may not even know who they are.
Right.
So how am I to know, as a guy who's working for the FBI or, there to protect or offer security, who exactly you are? And you would want that for anybody, regardless of the party. And then he started to cry. And I imagine about the day labor.
Yeah.
Get your hands off me, bro.
I'm going to have to wash my own car.
Oh, look, so much of this is all theatrics.
Absolutely.
But this is the kind of stuff where you're like, this is why you guys aren't actors and actresses. But you today, with that move, the crying, you might have gotten maybe a little trophy for your acting.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Maybe like a People's Choice. A Latino Choice Award. Coming up, we've got more crazy. We're going to talk a little bit about an axolotl. We're going to do that quick. And then the interesting thing about Brian Wilson that we didn't talk about yesterday on how he got out of his funk with all the drugs and everything, because there was a mystery man behind him that, wow, it's a crazy story. We'll do that straight ahead. Chad Benson Show, Super Talk 99.7.
2:30 on the dot. I'm Ken Weaver with your top stories. Got the full forecast in 5 minutes. President Trump says it looks like Israel could attack Iran, but stops short of saying it's imminent.
There's a chance of massive conflict. We have a lot of American people in this area, and I said, we got to tell them to get out because something could happen soon.
Talking about yesterday's Pentagon orders to get military members' dependents out of some areas where there could be some problems. This is as Iran has ramped up its uranium enrichment against the guidelines of the United Nations nuclear watchdog, and as the U.S. and Iran are scheduled to continue talks about it this weekend. India TV says as many as 265 bodies have been recovered from today's crash of an India Air flight right after takeoff. There were 242 passengers and crew on board, so it means people on the ground were killed too. One person on board did survive. Here's Maggie Rulli.
More and more eyewitnesses are coming forward describing this scene as just chaos of thick smoke in the air, essentially what's a fireball rising into the sky. Because we have to remember, this flight was taking off for London, a 9-hour journey. So it was full of fuel. Now all that fuel was really fueling this fireball on the scene. Rescue workers have been brought in immediately. Local police saying all rescue workers were given to this effort.
Right now, in Middle Tennessee, today's the deadline for Nashville Mayor Freddie O'Connell to hand over documents demanded by the U.S. House Judiciary and Homeland Security committees investigating O'Connell's executive order. That requires city personnel to report any interactions with immigration officials directly to him within 24 hours. No word on if he'll comply. That's the latest news. Weather's next. I'm Ken Weaver, WTN News.
Weather can change in an instant, and you need to be prepared for any outcome. That's why Generator Supercenter of Nashville will help keep your family safe and connected. We make buying a backup generator simple and easy, with financing options available, free in-home estimate, turnkey installations, no worry warranty, and most importantly, the monitoring and service of your fully installed generator. Come see us at our location in Nashville or visit us online. Generator Supercenter of Nashville. We serve all Middle Tennessee.
I want you guys to check out Verna Technology. Go to Verna, BYRNA.com, and check out what they do. Less lethal. And they're amazing. They call launchers. They look like guns. They got a brand new Glock that looks just like a Glock. It handles so amazing, and the feel is incredible. Why something like this? Less lethal. Chad, I'm a gun guy. Yeah, you know what, though? How expensive it is to go and train. How expensive is it to go out there? This is anything but that, and what it can do is incredible. Many forces use it across the country, and you're seeing some of these things put into play. And let me tell you something, less lethal doesn't mean it can't do the damage and protect in so many different ways. It is amazing. It's a great way to practice and get yourself going as well. You can even work it at home. That's what's awesome, because a fit and feel that's incredible. Right now, you can go, save 10%. Go check out all the things there. Go check out the launchers they have. They're amazing. Right here in Franklin, call 615-558-0534. 615-558-0534. They're open 7 days a week. Check out the website for the hours, or check out byrna.com. All right, guys, let's talk about my friends over at Bulwark Capital. They want to talk to you about getting a second opinion on your investments and your retirement. Simple to do. Takes a little bit of time. You call 866-779-RISK, 866-779-RISK. Now, here's what they're going to do. They're going to go through your retirement, your investments. They're going to take a look at all of the things that are happening in there and give you their, assessment, especially for where you are. Because you get one retirement, you don't want to unretire. And this is what they're going to do. And it's no cost to you. They're going to show you where, maybe you've got hidden fees, things affecting your retirement or your investments that are taking away from your opportunity. Maybe you're exposed in areas you shouldn't be, or maybe you're not utilizing the money and the investment you have to where you want to be in life. Text them today. Call them today, 866-779-RISK, or better yet, check out what they do online. You can go to knowyourriskpodcast.com to sign up for this. Knowyourriskpodcast.com for my friends over at Bulwark Capital. Investment advisory service offered through Check Financial LLC and SEC registered investment advisor. Investment fall risk not a guarantee. Past performance not guarantee future results. Check 25217. I just saw when they took Padilla out of there. And he was definitely trying to get by the guy again, over and over again. And then they took him out of it. It's so ridiculous. It's such a stage. It's so theatrical. But also, nobody's asked, it's funny, for all these people I've heard, nobody's asked, how is, Christine Oman in a situation like this? Maybe she knows who he is, maybe she doesn't. I'm sure she probably does. But when there's chaos and commotion, nobody asks. It's always about, how is he? Well, he's going to survive. He will survive this, and it's helped his reputation which is, all that these people are after in many cases. So I'm glad he lived. Speaking of that, yesterday, one of the greats, Brian Wilson, passed away. You guys remember Brian Wilson. He had some issues back in his day. He got into a lot of drugs, and he got into a lot of, he readily admitted he was a bit nuts.
I scored real good in music, but in other parts of life, I didn't score at all.
In my room.
Wilson's lyrics were prophetic. He withdrew to his home in his bed after a nervous breakdown in 1965. He couldn't take the pressure of success and the roller coaster ride of the music business.
It was more of a feeling of resentment, toward the public. And they stopped buying the Beach Boys records, and I kind of felt lost. So I just went in my room, and I didn't stay in my room all those years, but that's basically where I hid out. I didn't get out of bed till like 4 in the afternoon. I took a lot of drugs. I spent a lot of money on drugs, and it was either let's get high, or I'm going to get stoned, or else let's see, how about drunk today? Nah, let's open up our grass stash and have some joints.
Ooh, he's got a grass stash. He's going to have some joints, some marijuana, some sticky icky. The devil's cabbage.
The devil's lettuce.
Okay, now check this out. So people ask, like, well, how did, because this guy was a hot mess, but there was help.
When you were in that condition, when you were so withdrawn, did you forget who you were in terms of the person who created all that fabulous music?
Absolutely. Kind of like a identity crisis. That's what it was that I had. Yeah, I had a real identity crisis. That was real hard. Really, there are a lot of artists that do that. I'm not the only artist in the world that they get screwed up.
Well, then you got saved? Yeah, got saved by a weirdo.
Wilson says he owes his life to controversial therapist Dr. Eugene Landy, who also served as executive producer and co-writer on his new album. Landy is under investigation by California medical authorities following charges of impropriety.
Because that's exactly what happens when you want a psychotherapist to help you.
Yeah, I know I need some therapy, but I also can't get this bridge or this chorus to work together.
I know you're a genius, Brian, and you've written some amazing things like Pet Sounds and God Only Knows and all of this stuff.
But I'm here to help.
Is there any way that you want to hear what I've written? Oh, you do? Fantastic.
How do you respond to the criticism about that?
About the 24?
Yeah, about your relationship with Dr.
The way
Landy.
they were knocking bad rapping Gene, you mean?
Yeah.
They're trying to take Gene's license away from him, which is really, really stupid,
Do you think you'd be out here back in the public's eye without him at this point?
Oh, no. As a matter of fact, he goes where I go, because we have a partnership, and we have a doctor-patient relationship. We have, business partnership, I meant to say. And just like collaboration, musical collaboration between us.
Because that's what you want in your psychotherapist. So this guy wanted to be a star. It didn't work for him. And then he got his degree in psychotherapy or whatever. He went out to Hollywood. His wife, Brian Wilson's wife, heard about him from some people because they showed pictures of him and like videos. Like he was doing interviews laying in his bed and he had to be 350, 400 pounds.
Wow.
I mean, he was massive. And
there were years where Carly and Wendy were completely estranged from him, too.
Yeah. They didn't see, they would talk about, as kids, he would be in the house, and they may not see him for months. Like, that's how crazy that is. So she didn't know what to do with his wife. She was at wit's end. He was talking to her out in the living room, and Brian walked out, and he said, "I'm crazy. I need your help." And then they were inseparable. He was charging, in today's money, up to $120,000 a month to spend time with Brian. And it got to the point where it was so expensive that they had to give him royalties on some older Beach Boys songs to cover it. But he was that much of a mess. And they had an off and on relationship. And eventually they had to get a restraining order against this guy who passed away. But it was, and that was something from 1988. But he was writing, he produced songs and wrote songs with Brian Wilson. That's not what your psychotherapist, your therapist, your marriage counselor, that's not what they're there for.
Yeah, they're not supposed to be looking for a slice of the pie.
No. It's like, hey, you right? Well, you know what? I know that you're having some issues and you're suicidal. Take a look at what I wrote here. What do you think of this? Do you think this should be more of a country song? The whole thing was fascinating. And it reminded me of, remember if you saw the Queen movie, how that guy was always with him everywhere.
Yep.
Is like Shadow. It was the same thing, the Beach Boys. And as much as they hated him, Mike Love did come out and say, look, we hated the guy, couldn't stand the guy. There was probably nobody else, though, who could have got Brian back to us. And
he did that.
And he did that for a while. And got Kokomo, right? We wouldn't have got Kokomo without this guy.
Well, and Wendy and Carney got their relationship back with him.
In fact, there's a picture. They took a picture with him just a couple days ago. Like he was outside sitting on a bench, and it was kind of that they didn't know. But he had struggled for years. But yeah, the video in this is the 1988 interview on Today Show. They had big hair, by the way, in the Today Show, huge hair. But there's a video of him lying in his bed, and there are people interviewing him, and he is so big, and you're like, it doesn't even look like it looks like a guy who ate Brian Wilson. Like that's how big he was. It was wow. I mean, he was all over the place. We were talking earlier about the axolotl. Now, if you guys don't know what it is, it's like this salamander type thing, and it's really incredible what it can do. But I brought it up yesterday, and we didn't have a chance to get to it. It is so fascinating. I was going through all of the things it can do because they're looking at being able to regrow limbs and the acid in this thing. Are you guys ready for this? First of all, so not only can it regrow limbs, it regrows bones. So not just the limb itself. Everything it regrows, it does without scars, which I think is totally crazy. Like they regrow without scars. So imagine that. The other thing it can do, if its head if it's half of its head is like cut off, it can regrow its head. Now it can't regrow its head from nothing. So, but if part of it's missing, it could regrow its head. The other thing is spine. They're also looking at for spine because it can regenerate its spine. Now you can't take the organs out of it to look at it and see if it'll regrow it. But the only thing that we have that can somewhat regrow is the liver. So when you hear about liver transplant, unless it's somebody who's died, somebody could donate a portion of the liver that will regenerate itself. But nothing comes close to what this thing can do. And they're trying to figure out what is it. And they believe it's something in portions of the molecules, but part of this acid area that they think is, because it's not just, one of the other things they did was weird, is the reconstruction that the thing can do, because they did certain things where when all the stuff they did was it was ethical as you can get. They made sure that there was no pain. They knocked them out when they took off their arms and this, that, and the other. But they also they blocked certain areas to see what would happen in the regrowth. So when the arm would regrow and the areas they blocked, like the where the fingers and hands would be, might be where the elbow is. So to see that, okay, it's not just about the regrowth. Something inside of its body is telling it not only what to regrow, but how to regrow it. Like just regrow this. Make sure you grow 5 fingers. Make sure, and that's the thing they're fascinated by, is how it's able to rebuild itself. And you can buy them at stores. That's the crazy thing. Now, don't buy one and cut it in pieces. And everybody's like, well, lizards do. Here's the thing about lizards, because I've had lizards my whole life. Lizards can drop their tail. Their tail never grows back anything like what their tail was. It regenerates, but it's stubby and it's black and it never looks the same.
Are these salamanders, they're pretty expensive, aren't they?
No.
They're not?
No. I mean, an axle, if you want to buy one, let me see what my buddy's got one for sale right now. I mean, there's different ones that you can buy.
What's the price range?
Nothing. And they're in the wild, by the way. They're pretty endangered somewhat in the wild, but because they were in Minecraft, people wanted to buy them, and then they exploded. So, and they're captive born. You're going to spend, depending on what you want. My buddy's got a rescue axolotl. They're $60, wild type axolotl, which means they've got all kinds of crazy colors on them, that's going to cost you $90. The copper one is going to cost you $160. Well, for you, it's going to cost.
That's still not very much money.
No. And then you get to some of the leucistic, the albinos, those kind of things. But at most you're going to spend a couple $100, and that's it. They're not expensive. They're easy to maintain. It's not one of those things where you need one of these big. Like for me, one of the things that we got to a point with all of our giant lizards is they were giant. They don't need a cage. It's an aquarium. We had to build them giant, huge cages that were as big as bedrooms.
And the bigger they get, the more you have to feed them.
Yes, indeed. Yes. Or the more they'll eat. The more they'll eat for sure. But it's so easy. These things are so easy to maintain. And, they're fun, they're neat, and they can regenerate, which is incredible. It really is. It's like a superpower. It's like Alex Padilla, because that's when I'm going to get an axolotl, and I'm going to call it Alex Padilla, because he regenerated himself in front of cameras. Can you
After
believe
the
he survived?
tragic death.
Can you guys believe that he survived? I can't. You guys haven't heard.
Maybe he didn't, and he had to regenerate, like you said.
I was worried about that.
Senator Padilla, who wanted to confront Christina. Oh, excuse me, ask her a very calm and nice question.
Yeah.
Was removed.
He just had a question.
Forcefully from a press conference, murdered, and then somewhat found alive.
Yeah.
Just insane. All theatrics, by the way. All theatrics. Coming up, Matt Guitar Murphy. Right? Remember that? That was...
So you got a guitar here?
No, it's Blues Brothers.
Oh.
Yeah. Matt Guitar Murphy. But this is the regular old Matt Murphy's going to join the program straight ahead. Chad Benson, Super Talk 99.7. It's a solemn day here as Senator Alex Padilla was forcefully removed.
I'm a senator!
Yeah.
Keep your hands off me! I'm a senator! Chad, I'm a senator.
Well, she's a secretary and used to be a governor, and she's easy on the eyes.
Dog killer.
She is that, though. I was like,
She did
dude,
kill
you're
a dog.
lucky. You're lucky that I got to you before she did.
Yeah.
Old Yeller
That would have
doesn't
been
stand a
great.
chance.
How about she yells back, "You're lucky your name's not Cricket."
No doubt.
Good God.
Find me a gravel pit.
Yeah. By the way, that's a tip for all of you who are going to run for any kind of office. If you're ever going to write a book, unless you're out of office and never going back, don't put in, oh, by the way, I shot a dog.
And this is an example of how awesome I am. No, thank you.
No, thank you to what?
Oh my gosh, no! No, thank you to shooting dogs.
No, that's not a good.
It's not a good. It's not a good look. Bragging about shooting dogs is
even
a
if
worse
you're
look.
like, well, I understand because it's a farm dog and it wasn't paid. No.
Whatever.
Think about the average person that's not you, farm guy. Think about the person that you need to get votes for. That's not a good look.
And by the way, I think that's all garbage.
Yeah.
Because she says in the book that her daughter came home and said, "Where's Cricket? Where's Cricket?" A daughter doesn't do that for a farm dog.
No.
You gotta pick one way or the other.
Yeah,
it's a pet or it's not.
Yeah.
Come
I
on.
don't know what you were trying to show there. I can do the hard things, like shoot an animal. That's a pet, but it's not a pet. It's a farm dog. Well, your daughter doing it.
Yeah,
is a
daughter
pet.
thought it was a pet. Anyway,
So-
but no, enough about it. Yeah, Alex Padilla. Come
He's a
on,
poor
man.
guy. I can't believe he survived, though.
I mean, Democrats are going to get people hurt as they seem to want to escalate this, right? Am I reading it wrong?
We were playing the Insanity on MSNBC's Insanity.
Oh, gosh.
Where they said at one time, people in California may not be able to handle him being manhandled like this. And then they talk about how this is exactly what the Trump people are doing, is escalating this. Dude's at a press conference that he's not invited to because they were going to meet in a different room. He comes in. The FBI guy, whoever it was, doesn't know who this guy is.
Right.
And he goes and starts playing question and answer and moving forward like he was that chick, the sister of one of the victims of Jeffrey Dahmer, where she just kept getting closer and closer. And finally, the guy said no.
No, you need to back off and you need to get your hands up.
If this was a Republican who had done this to a woman in the Democratic Party, the misogyny, the patriarchy, the violence against women would have been through the roof.
Right. And in the grand scheme of things, it's a funny deal. It's not that big of a deal, but the hypocrisy is fascinating to me.
It is.
And the blindness that people on MSNBC and some of these other networks have to it. And that, for me, is the big question. Do they know what hypocrites they're being? Or are they blind to it? And I don't.
You know
I
what?
think some do and some don't.
Some do. Right, some do, but I think others they believe because they're in an echo chamber. So all their other friends are going, "Oh my God, how could this?" So I think they actually genuinely believe it. But there are others out there who understand. The people asking the question to the studio, they kind of get what's going on. Right. They're serving a purpose. But the people that are out there reporting, like, "I can't believe he's from Pacoima. He's the son of an immigrant."
Jeez.
I wonder if MSNBC will do a viewer discretion advised tonight.
Oh, they probably should. They probably should.
If you're in California, watch at your discretion.
And then Bill Maloogian said, "Oh yeah, they met privately for 10 minutes afterwards. They exchanged numbers. It was very cordial." Yeah. And Kristi Noem said that they started a conversation about what was going on. And then he comes out and he starts crying.
Yeah, holds a press conference.
Did he?
Yeah, he cried in both English and Spanish. For those of you.
Hola, amigos.
Sediments and centavos, por favor.
Did he have a Mexican flag behind him?
Yeah, no, he didn't.
Maybe. No.
That's one of my favorite Spanish sayings when you go to Disneyland. Please remain seated. Sediments and centavos, por favor. That's on the monorail. That's on the when you go on the big Matterhorn there.
That's good stuff right there.
Having some fun out there, kids. What are you going to talk about?
We'll talk a little about what we anticipate over the weekend. There's some news coming out of Memphis, Tennessee that is of interest to me, and we'll have Speaker of the House Cameron Sexton to break it down for us. But apparently government officials in Memphis, Tennessee have been accused of destroying documents prior to a state forensic audit of the school system in
Memphis
Shelby County.
feels a little like New Orleans back in the day.
A little shady.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say.
Apparently, there's some document destruction that is, at least this is the accusation that's going on. We'll talk about that. And we'll talk about exactly what we get to know from police officers or people with badges from Jack Johnson at 4:35, because I'm a little bit confused about their proposed legislation. So that's coming up, too.
I love Jack Johnson. It's one of my favorite artists. That's straight ahead. It is Chad Benson Show. You guys have a good one.